Hacking some of the key areas of focus around COP15. I'm currently joined in the studio by environmentalist Anthony Lampard. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us this morning.
Thank you.
Thoroughly looking forward to our discussion today, but of course let's look at what brings us here today, COP15, and the significance being of course around the RAMSAR Convention. Maybe you can just give us a brief appreciation of the RAMSAR Convention, but more importantly how Zimbabwe, being the second African country to be hosting this particular engagement, will be playing a key role over the next 3 years, taking over from China.
Yes, thank you. The RAMSAR Convention, or is mainly on focusing on protecting wetlands. What has happened is that humans have abused wetlands worldwide, and there's a belief that there's a real need that they need to be properly protected, because they have incredible value for humans as well as nature, particularly in the dissipation of flow energy, and they act like a sponge.
Right.
Which means that they retain the water instead of allowing all the pollution and all the water and all the runoff just to run down. And with humans doing buildings like hard surface and roads, that's becoming increasingly important.
Right. Now, looking at the increase of urbanization globally, the concern that has been raised to be able to ensure preservation or conservation or even management of the environment seems to be key. Let's try and localize. Zimbabwe does have its own significant number of wetlands that have been established. Maybe you can give us a brief appreciation on those and their importance to Zimbabwe's ecological environment.
Okay, and most of the wetlands that we have around, there are two specific climatic and soil condition issues that make it separate from somewhere like England or Holland, etc., is that we have seasonal rainfall. So we have a wet season and a dry season. So most of your wetlands are what they refer to as ephemeral, which means that they're seasonal. They only wet during the wet season, and then they rapidly dry during the dry season. There have been issues with the fact that in many cases, they are not running into the dry season as much as they used to because of problems with the over abstraction of groundwater and that means that the groundwater interflow into the wetlands has been depleted.
Right.
But those are other issues. The other one is that most of the wetlands or many of the wetlands are what they call vertisol, which is your black cotton soil. The black cotton soil has very little sponge capacity. It tends to be clay, so it seals rapidly with when it becomes wet. So if you understand the value of wetlands as a sponge, it's what they refer to as a free surface water flow wetland, which means it does have limitations. Now, this in itself is not a problem with development, because the what we call the wetland rating can be improved by, for example, the inclusion of organic matter, which increases the depth of the sponge. And that means it has a better wetland rating. It can has a better ecological function, it has better water retention, and has a better ability on absorbing the onrush of water to prevent it from to release it slowly, and also it can better clean the water to remove silt and pollutants.
Right.
So that means there are opportunities for communities to develop in wetlands as if they do start improving the wetlands, or what we refer to as reconstructing the wetlands, such that they have a better retention rating. And that means also that the extra retention rating can mitigate the displacement of some of the wetland by, for example, somebody building a house, because it makes up for the runoff from his roof and the hard surfaces by improving the function and the rest of the wetland.
Right.
By the end of it, you get a better wetland.
Right.
That's the idea.
Now, when we say, I'm glad that you clearly put it with regards to it being a sponge.
Yes.
Meaning that it absorbs
Yes.
the water.
Yes.
Water that, of course, has fallen from the sky into the ground and then is held there. Now, you also did bring up earlier on issues of accessing groundwater. We found that a lot of urban areas, especially within Harare, Bulawayo, Mashingo, Mtare, have also then now considered the use of groundwater. Maybe you could just briefly touch on the effects of accessing groundwater and the effects it has on the wetlands, but more importantly, how sustainably that could be managed.
Well, the first thing that needs to be understood, and that has been a bit of a weakness in the way we've managed wetlands,
Right.
is that they should be managed more holistically.
Okay.
In other words, the uplands are as much responsible for the deterioration of wetlands. How we manage the uplands is as much responsible for how we manage the wetlands as how we manage the wetlands themselves. For example, you've got displaced soft ground with roofs and hard surfaces. That is detrimental to the wetland because you've now increased the runoff of water and the siltation, etc., so that the existing wetlands have more work to do.
Right.
In addition to that, you've got things like rainwater harvesting, etc. You've got septic tanks with leaching to groundwater. You've got depleting groundwater, over-abstraction of groundwater, what they call water mining, means that the water that would otherwise leak in or seep in to the wetlands is no longer there. It has been used elsewhere. It's been abstracted. So a more holistic approach to better if we focus more on the what we call front of pipe solution of wetlands.
Maybe you could just expand a bit more front of pipe with regards to the wetlands and more importantly how that could practically be applied.
Okay, front of pipe for interpretation means that activities that are done before they reach the wetlands. So if in your uplands, if you harvest the rainwater or you put swales around your trees, it would mean all that water wouldn't rush down and damage the wetlands.
Right.
It would move down there slowly.
Right.
If you built constructed wetlands in your uplands, it would mean that they are functioning as wetlands and then releasing clean water to the environment.
Right. I'm going to pick up on that after we cross over to the Victoria Falls at the Elephants Hills. We were joined by Yvonne Mkondani, who will be giving us the update on the current developments taking place for the Convention on Wetlands COP15.
Many thanks, Farai Gwaze, from our Pocket Hill Studios in Harare. Now, from the Victoria Falls, Mangwanani, good morning, Livugenjani. We are live for the official opening of the 15th meeting of the Conference of the Contracting Parties to the RAMSAR Convention on Wetlands. My name is Yvonne Mkondani.
My name is Vegetembo Thorn Sivanda, and welcome to another live update as far as COP15 is concerned. It's 2025, and we are running with the theme protecting wetlands for our common future. It's more than 2,400 delegates expected here today on the official opening, and of course we are expecting people from about 170 countries and more.
Yes, indeed. And today is a significant day in as far as this conference is concerned because it is the official opening ceremony and we will see the President, the Head of State, Comrade Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa, officially opening this event. So yes, that is very important. And also another landmark thing that will happen today is we will see the presentation of the Victoria Falls Declaration, which will speak to Zimbabwe's commitment to the conservation of wetlands.
And you can't imagine how monumental this is considering that it hasn't happened in Africa in 20 20 years. That's right, it hasn't been done in Africa in 20 years, and this is the first time that it's happening in Zimbabwe. That is just something that we need to reckon with, you know what I mean? And of course, wetlands are a conversation that needs to be had and whatnot with the COP 15.
The COP 15 that we're attending here today, yes. And it is very important because, you know, wetlands are referred to as the lungs of the earth. Now look at yourself as a human being, Abegi. What do your lungs do? You know, they're very important. They're an integral part of the human system. So that means that as much as we're here talking about wetlands and their importance to the human race and their importance to the economy, they need to be given the significance that they deserve because they play a very key and a very strategic role in as far as biodiversity is concerned. Now today we'll see a lot of announcements, we'll see a lot of deliberations and hopefully solutions that will shape the conservation agenda.
Indeed, that's what we're looking forward to, and of course we're looking forward to our deliberations and as well as negotiations, not to mention announcements from what happened at COP 15 or the previous one. And of course we're expecting high level conversations regarding the explanations and the conviction as far as commitment is concerned, because global commitment as far as conservation is concerned is very key at this moment.
Now taking it back to yesterday was the opening day, and it was sort of a warm-up for this event that we have today. Yesterday we had regional sessions where we had people from various regions that are represented here today. So they came up with the pointers or the conversation points for today's main event. So we are looking forward today. And again, yesterday on the sidelines of this event, we had an opportunity to speak to the chairperson of this convention, Dr. Musonda Mumba from Zambia. And she was really elated, very excited at how Zimbabwe has been organized and how we are hosting this event. And what took her attention was the fact that the President, Comrade Emmerson Mnangagwa, will be officially opening. And according to her, she said this is the first time in the history of the COP 15 that we are seeing a head of state officially opening such an event. So she said it speaks to Zimbabwe's commitment to this event, and she said that this is no longer just a conservation issue, but it has become a political issue. And this means essentially that it's now top of government's agenda. So it will be given the importance that it deserves. Now, Becky Temba, let's go to the rainforest where you can guess who? Kurtley Gwindi is on standby there, and he will be taking us on a tour.
With the intersection. Firstly, I will introduce you to the fresh mist and spray of an aura of energy that's coming courtesy of Victoria Falls. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, I am talking to you about none other than the sounds. Doom, doom, doom. That is the beauty of Victoria Falls. Each and every time, it's the smoke that thunders. Victoria Falls, Mosiatunya. We welcome you to this beauty, as well as this incredibility with regards to each and every environment and energy. And yes, of course, we're talking about an intersection. And Zimbabwe could be with us at the Victoria Falls Hotel, of course. And then Zambia on the other side. But all the same, we talk, as my friends would call it, Zambezi. Let me talk to a little bit of my friends, as well as appreciate a little bit of energy. Now you are live here on ZBC. What is your name?
I'm Caroline.
Caroline.
Yes.
Each and everything that is happening right now is live.
Yeah, exactly.
Carol, all the way from where?
From Poland.
From Poland.
Yes.
Carol joins us from Poland.
Yeah.
And we are so excited to have you here
you.
on the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation. Yes. And what is the one thing that you have traveled as well as experienced in this particular space that you're witnessing?
Well, we just got here not too long ago,
Yeah.
so this view is amazing. We just had tea.
Yeah.
That was so beautiful. So we're just excited to start our tour tomorrow.
You're starting your tour tomorrow?
Yes.
Can I be your tour guide?
Well, we already have one. We love you. You're very kind.
Carol,
so-
we appreciate you here on ZBC, and of course, we appreciate all things to do with the energy that is surrounding.
Sure,
Let's just
yeah.
talk about the air, the aura, as well as the mist and the spray that you're
Okay.
experiencing.
Sure. Well, I think this is a very special place. The view is incredible.
One of the 7 wonders of the world, by the
Exactly.
way.
This space has a very good energy, I think. The trees, I feel like they are watching over us.
They're watching over us.
Yeah.
I appreciate you, Carol, and thank you so much for being a part of this
you.
broadcast.
No problem.
And as Carol has said, as we continue to say, thank you so much.
as well.
We appreciate each and every one of you who have been a part of this broadcast. Now, my name is Kurt Lee Gwindi, Kurt by name and not by nature. We do thank you.
Currently Gwindi there at the Victoria Falls, the Mosio Tunya, the smoke that thunders in Zimbabwe, interacting with tourists, telling them about brand Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is a beautiful tourist destination, and just that's what Curtly was sharing with them as Zimbabwe hosts the COP15, which is running under the theme Protecting Wetlands for Our Common Future. Becky.
The 15th meeting of the Conference of the Contracting Parties of the RAMSAR Convention on Wetlands is currently underway in Victoria Falls, and the city itself is ablaze, and people are just all over the place. The energy is amazing, and most importantly, Curtly is having fun with it.
He is, and I
having
envy
fun
him.
with it. And of course, right now we are going to be joining Curtly as he takes a move on Monaville RAMSAR site.
Monaville Flay is home to a diverse range of plants and grass species, including unique indigenous communities that thrive in its alkaline soils. The wetland is a bird watcher's paradise, with over 240 species documented, from majestic birds of prey to colorful songbirds. Monaville Flay is a haven for avian enthusiasts.
We've got special and unique bird species such as the striped crake, which is actually a migrant that comes from North Africa. We also have streaky-breasted flufftail. Those are iconic bird species which are actually known by locals and international birders alike. They come here during their migration period, which begins around October and ends around April. So they come to visit to see them.
Monaville Flay is more than just a bird sanctuary. It's also home to a surprising number of mammals, including the threatened Cape clawless otter and common duiker. And if you think that's impressive, the wetland also supports a rich community of reptiles and amphibians, including the endangered giant bullfrog and various snake species.
Monaville wetland is within an urban setup. Actually, it's about 4.2 kilometers from the CBD, and there are mammals that we actually find around here, like the bush pig, duiker, serval, mongooses, otters, and scrubby, amongst other reptiles and crustaceans. So that's the beauty and uniqueness of this wetland.
Monaville Flay stands as a shining example of how a dedicated community can successfully protect and restore a vital urban ecosystem. Beyond its biodiversity, Monaville Flay plays a vital role in purifying water, mitigating floods, and recharging the groundwater table that replenishes Lake Chivero, Harare's main water source.
These wetlands, they act like a sponge. You know, when it rains, as the water is sinking into the ground, it is actually filtered and cleaned underground. They also store water underground, which replenish our boreholes as well. And this is actually beneficial during the dry season or during droughts, because the water will be underground, and it also feeds into the streams, leading to Lake Chivere and Lake Manyame as well.
Let's work together to preserve this precious ecosystem for future generations. Visit Monavale Flay and experience the beauty and importance of urban wetlands. Let's protect our wetlands.
From the Monavale RAMSAR site to the wetland city of Victoria Falls, now we're going to the capital city, Harare, where Farai Gwaze is on standby in the studio. Farai, it's over to you.
Thank you so much there to Yvonne and Peggy Temba giving us the rundown from the Elephant Hills Hotel at the COP15 RAMSAR Convention currently underway. Of course, the Congress of the Peoples, of the parties rather, engaging and ensuring that they do address issues around sustainability of our wetlands globally. Now, very briefly, I am joined in studio by environmentalist Anthony Lampard, and we were also appreciating, of course, some of the sentiments being shared there. But previously, we were looking at the significances of wetlands. And I think previously when we were discussing, you did highlight a key difference between conservation and preservation of wetlands. Maybe we can start our discussion from there on the difference, but more importantly, which of the two, from an implementary point of view, is more sustainable?
The concept or the RAMSAR broad aim is conservation. Zimbabwe's legislation and the policies are conservation. Conservation effectively means wise, careful use. It's a concept where you do not separate the wetlands, you do not separate the wetlands from humans, you interact with the environment and you protect the environment in such a way as that the human needs are also met.
Right.
Whereas preservation is a belief that the wetlands are so precious that you must not touch them, that you must prohibit any sort of development or any action that has any effect on the natural state of the wetland.
Right.
This is often a polarized position, and perhaps there needs to be some sort of compromise where preservation and conservation interests are met in some sort of way where everybody's interests are met on a win-win basis.
That's it. Yeah. On that particular note, maybe you could just give us your final closing contribution with regards to wetlands in the country, but more importantly, leading up to the discussions that will be taking place in Victoria Falls.
Sorry, I'm not.
So if you could give us your closing remarks with regards to wetland sustainability in relation to the RAMSAR Convention currently taking place in Victoria Falls.
Okay. I do believe that there are two main issues that need to be considered. The first one is that wetland management should be considered holistically and as much care with the uplands as the wetlands themselves. And secondly, I think that all wetland debate and all deliberations should be inclusive, very inclusive, including even the person that wants to destroy the wetlands must be allowed to have their say as much as the person that wants to preserve the wetlands and everybody in between. With a collaborative approach, one can take a diversity of interests for the betterment of wetlands and the way we manage wetlands.
That's it. Mr. Lampard, thank you so much for your time, and we definitely do look forward to speaking to you again in future.
Thank you very much.
That's it.
Bye.
We're joined in studio there by Mr. Anthony Lampard, who is an environmentalist, giving us, of course, his insights into the current RAMSAR Convention currently taking place in the Victoria Falls. Now we're going to take a brief look at more developments around wetlands in Zimbabwe.
Meet me in Zimbabwe. Meet me in Zimbabwe. that's so special and so rare. Its history is full of mystery. I cannot tell you what it is. You can find it on your own when you're there. Tosangana ku Zimbabwe vagomana. Tosangana ku Zimbabwe vazikana. Tosangana kwa Murewa, tosangana kurusape, tosangana kumarondera, tosangana kwa Mutare, tosangana ku Zimbabwe vanamaye. Meet me in Zimbabwe. There is music in the air with the sound of Saturday.
Meet me in Zimbabwe, indeed. Thank you so much for staying tuned with us right here on this special live broadcast of the COP15 Congress of the Parties currently taking place in Victoria Falls around the RAMSAR Convention. Of course, we are looking forward to His Excellency, the President, Comrade Emmerson Mnangagwa's address during the opening that will be taking place today. That's being a very key monumental step for all RAMSAR conventions, as this is the first time a head of state would be giving a keynote address. This, of course, is speaking to Zimbabwe's strong commitment towards ecological and environmental management systems. Quite a few extensions that have also been taken on with regards to the NDCs, and more importantly also Zimbabwe's alignment to Article 6, which is the Paris Climate Agreement, which also saw the carbon market registry also being established and also contributing towards carbon sink mechanisms that have been established around the country. This would be a step towards establishing a sustainable economic viability with conservation of the environment. Now, still extending with our discussions here in studio, would like you to be part of them. Send us your questions, your comments, and your contributions on our social media platform at ZBC News Online. I'm currently joined in studio by architect and a built environment expert, Mick Pierce, and looking forward to our discussions today. Mick, thank you so much for taking the time to join us this morning.
Sure, thank you very much. I enjoy it.
Yes. Now, appreciating your background in built environment, I understand that with regards to your architectural escapades, you also contributed to the landmark Eastgate building, which is in Harare. And now it's reference to the termite mound as one that has been looked at and revered as being an amazing way of being able to not only take natural environments but also transition them into a built environment. But maybe you could also briefly share with us a few more of your exploits in that regard.
Okay, well, actually the termites came from Monavale.
Right.
Wetland.
Right. The termites came from the Monavale wetland.
I've been walking on Monavale wetland for nearly 30 years.
Right.
Almost twice a week, 3 times a week. It's my dog walk.
Right.
And I study termites there.
Right.
After Eastgate, I went to Australia, and I built a building there, a green one.
Right.
And then I went to China, and I built another building there.
Right.
And it was while I was in China that I saw how they had built a reconstructed wetland, because most of the east coast, where all the people live in China, are in fact wetlands.
Right.
And they've been living on wetlands, for thousands of years. They're actually brilliant farmers. So I learned a lot from that.
Right, right. What I'm keen to also pick up on before we get into our major part of our discussion here today is how you look at nature, its natural application of its sustainability, and also draw parallels to built environment. How important is it as an architect to also be able to have that perspective, especially with sustainable buildings?
Well, I think we have to agree that we are animals. We are part of nature.
Right.
So when we build a city, that's our way of life. It's almost like the termites, an extension of the organism. A house, we need a house, we need a building to live in. And that must grow as part of the ecosystem. So the city, in fact, is an ecosystem.
Right. Right.
Now, once you begin to think like that, and then you go back in history and you see that actually traditional farmers in this country
Right.
and in China who've been farming for thousands of years
Right.
have learnt that lesson. They know,
Right.
and they've thought about it. They've seen it. So actually, when the Europeans arrived in Zimbabwe, they came with their own culture,
Right.
with their own ideas about farming in a damp climate where it rains all the time. And they just actually didn't understand that here you get wet and dry and wet and dry. And the dry goes on for a long time. It's 9 months. And then you get 3 months of rain. And the farmers knew how to deal with that by wetland gardens,
Right.
Dambo gardens.
I'm glad you bring up the Dambo Gardens.
Yeah.
You did bring a book also on
Yeah.
Dambo farming
Yeah.
in Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
Maybe you could just briefly share with us some of the indigenous knowledge systems that were applied before on wetlands around farming.
Well, I mean, what was quite a good story. Yesterday,
Yeah.
I went to the university and I heard about this book and I found it.
Right.
I found hundreds of copies,
Right.
free, sitting in a room that was locked up. Now, this book was written in 1995, when, after liberation, and people started thinking again
Right.
about farming and about how difficult it is to get water and how to irrigate. You have to irrigate. And the whole history of farming is about a very important history that we must actually, I'm going back to RAMSAR. The RAMSAR Convention focuses on our wetlands. Then we must focus on our history
Right.
and what happened to the wetland farmers. Now, you can actually find these guys in Seki.
Right.
You go to Seki and see their gardens.
Right.
They're still doing it. And they've had to do it against a lot of acts of parliament.
Right.
1927, 1952, both of them said, keep off the wetlands, keep off the wetlands. Now, the governments, the governments then were worried about the way the wetlands feed the rivers.
Right. Because they're tributary. Yeah. Right.
Now, actually, what you've got is uplands, or the catchments, feeding. Actually, what happens is that muddy water goes on collecting more and more mud until it can no longer hold any more mud, and it deposits it in layers, and that forms clays, which actually are impervious to water.
Right.
And then what happens is that puts a huge weight on the ground, and you get a crack around the wetland, and that opens up springs from the uplands groundwater.
Right.
So it's the uplands that feed the wetlands. So when you talk about wetlands, you should talk about
Put the uplands too. I'm looking forward to being able to expand on that.
Okay.
Yes, before we do that, we'll just sort of quickly cross over back to the Victoria Falls, where we are in preparation for, of course, a keynote address, which will be coming from His Excellency shortly.
And transparent. Indigenous.
It's a very good morning to you and welcome to your live updates at the COP15 2025, where nations are gathered here to discuss conservation as far as wetlands are concerned. Now, I am joined here by the chairperson of the Parliamentary Portfolio of Environment, Climate and Wildlife. A very good morning to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Very good morning to you.
So indeed, we are out here at COP15 2025 and we are running under the theme of protecting wetlands for our common future. What does this say to you, sir?
Thank you so very much. Protecting our wetlands for the common future, it speaks to the collective obligation that we have in terms of wetland conservation. In fact, you have to look at the environment in its totality. So coming here as the Portfolio Committee that oversees the work of the Minister of Environment, Climate and Wildlife, I must say we are very happy with the work that they've done in bringing together the entire world. 150 countries that are here exhibiting out of an expected 172. That is an 87.2% return, which is a distinction. So we must say kudos to the ministry for a wonderful work. But having said that, we need to be very clear that we are here as legislators. We need to be having conversations around existing legislation with respect to this very important and sensitive asset, which is our wetlands. We need to align, having identified gaps on the back of the conversations that we are going to be having and the conversations that we've had so far with our peers across the world. China being the outgoing chair of the Conference of Parties on Wetlands. They did very well from what we've discussed thus far. They've done very well. So we expect to learn a lot from them as we assume the chair for the next 3 years. And bearing in mind again that we are going to be an ex-officio chair for another 3 years, possibly the 3 years that we are going to be in the chair. So yeah, we expect to learn, unlearn, and relearn along the way.
Indeed, it is. It has actually been 20 years before, 20 years since the convention was held in Africa, and the first time it's being held in Zimbabwe. Now, there is a lot concerned as far as awareness is concerned with regards to wetlands, and a lot of people still don't understand exactly what the wetland situation and the wetland conservation situation is all about. Do you think you can break that down for the understanding of the ordinary man, woman, and child at home?
Well, that is one major assignment that we have as we leave this place. We need to have serious conversations around the role, the functions that wetlands play. That is very critical. And on the back of the position that government has taken with respect to its approach, assuming a whole of government and a whole society approach, it speaks to the collective obligation that we have. We, the people living on planet Earth, in our search for prosperity through partnerships. Okay. That is the approach that we need to take. Post COP16 with respect to UNCBD in Cali, Colombia, there was a resolution, Resolution 8J, which speaks to IPLCs, indigenous people in local communities. They are supposed to be the custodians of these local assets at a community level. So those are some of the conversations that we need to be having as we mainstream issues around wetlands, their role, their functions, and how important and cross-cutting they are. So we need to deploy an intersectional lens with respect to their role and functions. When you talk urban settlements, when you talk spatial planning, when you talk food security, when you talk even our transportation, when you talk our tourism, yes, right? So it's cross-cutting. We need to be having those conversations in a cross-cutting manner, in an intersectional manner. So there has to be an integrated approach with respect to our conversations. We need to go down there. Local communities participating actively. It has to be a bottom-up approach, taking everyone on board, leaving no one and no place behind.
That is wonderful. Obviously, a lot of people are going to have to be made aware exactly what it is to conserve wetlands and what role wetlands play in a society. Now, finally, I noticed that earlier on you spoke as a legislator. Now, as a legislator, I want to know, in fact, I would like for you to explain to the people at home exactly how we are going to move forward from COP15 2025 into the future.
Legislatively, from the experience of China, we are going to push for a Wetland Act, where we push for an independent and separate directorate with respect to our wetlands. So that is one major a push that we are going to have from a legislative role that we play, and also because we represent constituencies. We need to have all legislators sensitized on matters around wetlands. It's not necessarily about the committee on environment, climate and wildlife. We need them hymn sheet singing the same song of wetlands, given the collective responsibility that we have to protect our wetlands for our common future. Thank you very much.
And thank you so very much. That is amazing. That is the chairperson of the Parliamentary Portfolio on Environment, Victoria Falls, Elephant Hills, where COP15 2025 is currently underway, running under the theme of protecting wetlands for our common future. And of course, this year event is known as the 15th meeting of the Conference of the Contracting Parties to the RAMSAR Convention on Wetlands, whereby nations are gathered here today to talk about the conservation of wetlands and the crucial role that they play as far as the ecosystem is concerned and climate change. Not only that, but also to be considered is a water resource conservation and a lot more to do with the climate change. My sister, it's a lot that's going on, and so many people are here gathered already, and of course we are expecting His Excellency Dr. Emmerson Mnangagwa to officially open COP15 2025 shortly.
And indeed the President will be officially opening this event under the theme protecting wetlands for our common future here in Victoria Falls, where we gathered for the 15th meeting of the Conference of the Contracting Parties to the RAMSAR Convention. Again, let's cross over to Curtly whilst he's doing what he knows best.
Family, yes sir, this is Zimbabwe, and we are talking about none other than the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation, bringing you live footage from the Victoria Falls. Now we welcome you to the mighty, expensive, as well as exclusive National Park, one of the 7 wonders of the world. And yes, we are talking none other than the Victoria Falls, where the sun sets and you cruise, where the sun rises and it's a muse. Come with me on this journey. My name is Curtly Gwindi, Kurt by name and not by nature, and we are so excited to be taking you through the COP15 experience held here in July. As we go further, allow me to take you through. And of course, we are so excited to still create the vibes within Victoria Falls, and Viva and Yali join me with their big family. Hi guys! All the way from the Netherlands.
Yes.
So just tell me a little bit about how you got to discover Zimbabwe.
We went by bus with a group, we traveled with a group, and it has been an amazing adventure until now.
Okay.
Actually, today is our first day here.
Yeah.
It's
First day in Zimbabwe today.
Okay.
We've been to Namibia for 2 weeks, and then we've been to Botswana for 1 week.
Okay.
And right now we're here. Yes.
And the most important thing is family. How important is family? I mean, you were talking to me about 18 years. Yourself, Yali? 20.
Yes.
How important has family been with regards to your growth as a human being?
Very important.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you guys are brothers?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you speak the same. I can see that correlation.
Yeah.
And of course, that brings together the nature of what Zimbabwe is, particularly to everything to do with the domestic tourism as well as the beauty of our nature. Our nature is not nurture. It's nurtured by the very people. Hello, Netherlands! Hello, Zimbabwe! What's up? Welcome to Victoria Falls. Welcome to Victoria Falls. Yes. Say it with me. Welcome to Victoria Falls. Jacaranda and mimosa, every hillside. And of course, we continue the journey here in the Victoria Falls, and the ladies in green. Carola, Sue, how are you feeling?
Wonderful.
It's a fresh mist as well as breath of fresh air.
Yes.
Victoria Falls, and welcome to Zimbabwe.
Thank you.
Let's talk about the gorge,
Yes.
the curtain fall, the water you can see. Sue, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it's just exciting. It's so much fun and it's refreshing. It's enormous.
All right, all right. Of course, we are joined by, sir, your name?
Walter.
All right, Walter. Walter, please come through, come through, come through. Come and join us. And ma'am?
Nancy.
Nancy. Walter, please join us here on this live broadcast here on ZBC. Now, Walter and?
Nancy.
Welcome to the rainforest of Victoria Falls.
Complexion.
All right, it's good for your complexion. Walter, how are you feeling about it? As tall as you are, you're closer to the rain.
Almost true. Yeah.
Almost true?
Almost true.
All right, absolutely. And Sue was telling us a little bit about the experience here, but we obviously want to hear from our new guests here.
We've had a wonderful 2 weeks.
Yeah. And it's been 2 weeks.
Yes.
And you do know that COP15 is about to connect, and we're talking all things to do with the wetlands. And that's what we're here for as a ZBC, and we're so excited to have you guys. Walter, Sue, of course Nancy, and Carola.
Yes.
Yes, thank you so much for coming with us on this special broadcast here on ZBC, and we appreciate nothing but green. Thank you so much, guys, and we continue. Cheers.
Good.
How are you doing? How are you doing?
Hi.
You're dressed in green.
Yeah.
You guys look lovely.
Thank you.
Your name?
We're all coordinated just for this.
All right, absolutely.
What is
so you are live on ZBC, and of course, we want your names. We're so excited. Yeah, for you to be having to visit Victoria Falls.
Yeah, it's
Everything.
amazing.
And tell us about that. Tell us about that. Your name?
My name is Cecily.
Cecily?
Olivia.
Olivia.
Yes.
And yes, you are speaking right to our audience as well as our viewers. And of course, there's a little bit of energy and excitement that's coming from Cecily and Olivia. So tell us.
Falls. We just saw a beautiful rainbow over there
Okay.
when the sun came out. And we didn't expect it to be so wet.
Yeah.
We
But hence the raincoat. When did you get? At what point? At what point?
We got it before we came in from our tour group, so
All right.
we're
We're well prepared.
Yeah.
We went
Well
all the way
prepared.
to the danger point.
All right. How has the danger point been?
It was fine. It didn't seem that dangerous.
It was slippery.
We didn't go too close to the edge.
I did.
And can you believe that this is one of the 7 wonders of the world?
It is?
Yes.
I told you.
Is it really?
That's amazing.
I can't believe it after seeing it. It's beautiful.
It's amazing.
Everyone should visit.
Let's talk about the curtain, the waterfall, and perhaps the rainforest that you're joined by.
What'd you say?
How exciting is that?
It's amazing.
Yeah, everything is so beautiful. We're so glad we came and saw it.
And which country are you guys joining us from?
United States.
United States of
Yeah,
America.
California.
Live in Zimbabwe. Ladies and gentlemen, we bring you
Tennessee.
Olivia. Okay, absolutely. Okay, Nancy.
Oh, it's been a great experience.
Yeah.
This is one of the 7 wonders of the world.
Absolutely.
One of the new 7 wonders, or one of the original?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
that makes
we're so excited. We're so excited to have you here on ZBC.
We're good. We're glad to be here.
All right, absolutely.
Thank you.
Of course, we've had a wonderful chat with our very visible, intelligent, as well as green guests. Guys, let's talk about this color, but I guess we'll talk about it in the greener pastures, and I'm talking about none other than the United States. My name is Kurtley Gwindi, and of course, I'm taking you back to the studio, where everything is happening and running. This is COP15 2025. Let's go, guys.
Currently there at the rainforest interacting with tourists, and you know what? I noticed that he was the only one who wasn't wearing a raincoat.
I'm wondering what's going on, and I'm just wondering if an anaconda or something just jumps out of the jungle there. What is he going to do in those shots?
Probably jump, run, I don't know.
I'd like to see that.
Anyway, from the Victoria Falls, let's take a look at one other RAMSAR site, that is the Lake Chivero.
And the people in Zim need to understand that the RAMSAR Convention is important. in protecting the wetlands, because the wetlands are going to supply them with water.
Nestled in the heart of Zimbabwe,
and the people in Zim need to
understand a treasured wetland system. Welcome to Lake Chivero and Manyame, a RAMSAR site since 2013. With over 400 bird species, Lake Chivero is a bird watcher's paradise. From migratory water birds to majestic African fish eagles, this lake is teeming with life.
We have over 400 types of birds around Chivero. Because it's a wetland, we get more species coming in. 404 species of birds in Chivero. And that's the vital importance of protecting this area, to show truly Zimbabwe what it should be like, and Quimbashiri to show people the diversity and the beauty of the birds that we've got in our.
Beneath the surface, a diverse array of fish thriving, including tigerfish, yellowfish, and various types of tilapias and barbel.
Now we've got Cape clawless otter. We've got a variety of dam species type birds that are here. We had 23 species of fish in this dam, going from carp to tigerfish, all the different species. This was one of the most productive dams in the southern hemisphere.
The headwater wetlands act as a natural filter, purifying and storing water before it flows into the lake. This vital function ensures a cleaner water supply to Harare and surrounding towns.
So this lake was built in 1952 for water for Harare. At that time, Harare needed water for 500,000 people. Now we have 2 million people drawing water from here. Because of our altitude, there's a lot more rainfall in Harare, and the rainfall falls into the wetlands in Harare. And those wetlands hold the water and purify the water so that it runs down in the streams to this lake. But the wetlands are important to supply a slow, steady supply of water, clean water, to Chivero, where it can be used for.
Lake Chivero and Manyame offer opportunities for water sports, game viewing and bird watching, and fishing, contributing positively to the local economy.
This lake was designated in 1972 as a recreation area for Harare. So we get, it's a wonderful thing that a wetland like this, a supplier of water, can also be used for recreation, because if you look around, people in Harare now, they're surrounded by concrete, by vehicles, by television, and fewer people are able to afford to get out into beautiful natural wetlands. And I think it's very important for your soul to be able to get into the bush, out into the wetland, out onto a dam, go fishing, go boating, and enjoy the beautiful things that we have got in this country.
Lake Chivero and Manyame wetlands are a precious resource. Let's work together to preserve the vital ecosystem for future generations.
A very good morning to you. We are back with your live update, broadcasting live from the Victoria Falls at the Elephant Hills. And of course, today being the 24th of July 2025, we're expecting His Excellency Dr. Emmerson Mnangagwa to do the official opening of COP15.
Yes, a very important day today. Again, a reminder of the theme, because what would such an event be without an insight of what it really stands for? Protecting wetlands for our common future. Again, let's cross over to Kurtley Gwindi.
And as we go, the journey continues with Joseph Joseph, welcome to Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation.
You're welcome, boss.
And yes, this is a special broadcast coming to you from COP15. What do you know about the activity that's happening in Victoria Falls right now?
For now, I just said, but there's a conference, but exactly what the major conference is, I don't know.
So this is a convention that protects the Mother Nature. That is our wetlands. And that is our economy. What do you feel about nyaya dzemvura? Kuti mvura ngaive yakachena. Ndikukuona kuti wakageza saJosefa.
Inini ndikutofarisisa mukoma because mvura toifarisa. Hapana munhu asingafariri kuita ganda remvura. Without mvura hatizi mazimba. Chokwadi mvura yakakosha. Saka vechishanyira vamwe kuzoiona vamwe isusu toifarira steering.
And Joseph, just very briefly. I'm going to do this. I hope my producers allow me to do this. Sell me this hat.
Okay. So this hat, when I'm selling it to you, I sell it normally like $15. You guys are locals. But these hats, we get them from other ladies. We have got the ordering prices and the selling prices. So for us now, when I'm giving you for $15, I get a little bit of profit from that much. I'm not the one who make, it's not my sister who make. But we buy and sell. You see. So when I say 15, I'll be selling it to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, sold to the man in the brown hat. Of course, my name is Kurtley and your name is Joseph.
Joseph, yes.
But Joseph, how importantly has COP15 contributed with regards to the growth of your business? I see a lot of artifacts. I see the growth with regards to your cultural heritage appreciation.
Yes.
Let's talk about that.
What we expect normally when there's people who came like this, we've got delegates, different people coming from different places, and they're the ones who come here and support us, especially to our business which we are doing. So this is a parking area where we are, where we meet different people from different places. So when it's like this meeting which is held here is the one which also supports us, especially when they are finishing their meetings, they come and just support us, we locals.
Absolutely, and we appreciate that. We appreciate you contributing to a gross domestic product.
Oh, the best, boss.
As Zimbabwe. I wish you all the best. And of course, it's shades to shades, cheers to cheers.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate
Sile siyabaza izinyamazana ezitshiyeneyo njengoba libona sithengisela ngase National Park lapho kutholakala khona izinyamazana iningi lazo sizibaza izene ezitholakala khona lapha egangeni le National Park le Victoria Falls. Siyabaza indlovu, siyabaza ama-rhino, siyabaza inyathi, siyabaza ingulube, siyabaza into eziningi ezitshiyeneyo njalo siduzana nomfula uZambezi khonapho about 100 meters. Kuyatholakala ingwenya, kuyatholakala imvubu. Izinto ezitholakala khonapho so lathi siyazibaza into lesizicekise khonapho sizithengisele ama-tourist. Every hillside, it's a pastime paradise.
I wonder what it is that he will be bringing to us. Right now we're joined by Julia Pierini from Bird Life in Zimbabwe. Julia, thank you for joining us. Thank you so much. It's so exciting to be here.
Opening ceremony and the president to formally open the event is really fantastic.
Indeed, it is fantastic. We have Julia Pierini from Bird Life Zimbabwe. She will be talking to us about the importance of wetlands and how birds fit into this conversation. Now, can you tell us, just as we start off, I know we're here, this is COP15, we're talking about wetlands, but what are wetlands and why and how are they important?
Well, wetlands are our water sources. So in particular in Zimbabwe, so where does our water come from? It comes from wetlands. So it can be the very variety of wetlands, but most of our wetlands are small, fragile headwater wetlands from the center of the central plateau of Zimbabwe, and then all the rivers are formed from there and flow downstream. So that's basically in a nutshell. So very fragile ecosystems, and where which we need to protect, particularly at this point in time with the changing climate, to protect our water sources.
And how can we as communities ensure that we also take part in this conversation and protect our water sources?
I think this is a fantastic question you asked, and we need to have a whole of society approach to looking after wetlands. We cannot say, oh, well, it's just the government that has to look after wetlands. It needs to be the government, the civil society working together. It needs to be citizen, residents, and the private sector. Really, all of us working together, acknowledging the importance of these water provisioning areas is really very important. What is necessary to protect them and to maintain the ecosystem functions that provide us with water and the ecosystem services that we rely on a daily basis.
And just as I'm talking to you, I'm just thinking about something. Of course, you're from BirdLife Zimbabwe, but often we have had the conversation of human-wildlife conflict. Do you think maybe we have a wetland conflict?
Oh, absolutely. We definitely do. And we are fighting nature where we need to be understanding that we need to find the wise use of utilizing wetlands is actually restoring to the natural state with the natural indigenous plants and wildlife and birds, because that will maintain the functioning of the wetlands that provide us with water. So that is a really very important that we understand that the wetlands are not there just to be used in the traditional sense, but to be restored and for the wetlands to provide us with water for our activities like farming. So we need to move out of the wetlands and move downstream where we then gather the water. So in the rural context, we need to move our domestic animals out of those precious seeps and wetlands and recover the water downstream so that we can then do our farming activities and so planting. All cultivation needs to be out of wetlands, not within, because we are drying up these very important resources. In an urban context, we need to understand that if we want housing, we want development, we need to have where these ecologically sensitive areas need to be looked at as natural infrastructure for water provisioning, so we need to ring fence them. Government has already started doing that in Harare, Chitingwiza, Epworth. Ecologically sensitive areas have been gazetted. We just need to take the next step and make sure that all our RAMSAR sites, in Zimbabwe we have 7, are protected. They are nature reserves, so we need to domesticate the RAMSAR Convention. So we've ratified the RAMSAR Convention. We need to domesticate. All our laws need to be aligned so that the wetlands are protected. At the moment, we are still in the catch-22, so government is doing an incredible job at taking steps, but we now need to strengthen. We need to go further. Yes.
So now let's talk about the relationship between birds and wetlands.
Yes. So birds, people laugh at me and they say, Julia, you just want to save the birds. But birds are very good indicators of the health of the environment. So in Zimbabwe, we have 674 bird species. 140 of them also are migratory. So they don't just live in Zimbabwe. So many of them are summer migrants. They come here in the summer, and some of those are actually wetland species. So birds fit into different niches. So we can see these are specific birds for wetlands. And are they coming? Are they going? Especially in the rural areas, people are noticing declines of birds. Oh, we used to see them often. We don't see them anymore. We all used to this, And why is that happening? And so that's the shrinking of the wetlands, the degradation. We have a challenge in Zimbabwe of many of our wetlands are degraded. There have been efforts to restore, and we need to up those efforts. We need help to do that. And how do we do that? And that's sort of a double thing, is to make sure that the wetlands continue working so that we as humans can continue to benefit. And the birds are the indicators. We can see, look, there's something happening. Yes.
All right. I must thank you very much, Julia, for having joined us on this platform, sharing with us the importance of birds and how they fit into the wetland conversation. We are at the Victoria Falls for the COP15 summit, and we have been talking to Julia from BirdLife Zimbabwe, and she mentioned to us the importance of wetlands, how birds fit into the conversation, how it is easy for us to notice that, there seems to be a decline in the bird population. So this calls to us as individuals how we can work together to protect wetlands so that we, in doing that, protect our birds. For now, let's cross over to our Pocket Soul Studios with Farai.
Thank you so much there to Yvonne Mkundani giving us the rundown currently from the Elephant Hills Hotel, where the Conference of the Parties Convention COP15 is currently underway. And of course, expectations are high. For the first time, a keynote address being given by a head of state would be taking place for the convention. So we will make sure that we do cross over live to that keynote address a bit later on, where His Excellency the President, Comrade Emmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa, would be highlighting, of course, Zimbabwe's a key role in being able to extend the RAMSAR Convention's goals and aspirations over the next 3 years, this being taken on, of course, from the People's Republic of China. Please feel free to keep sending us your questions, comments, and your contributions on our social media platform at ZBC News Online. Still extending our discussions here in studio, I'm joined in studio by architect, built environment expert, Mick Pierce. You picked up an interesting sentiment that was highlighted between Juliet and Yvonne when she made the reference to human wetland conflict. And you kind of nodded in agreement there. Maybe we can pick up our discussion from there. Where are the clashes coming up, but more importantly, how do we manage them?
Well, we see beautiful pictures of wetlands with animals. The animals are very much part of the system, the ecosystem. Actually, the wetlands rely on birds as well as elephants and buffalo and everything else that eat the grass, that spread the seeds. And then there's another animal, the fifth ape, humans.
Humans.
And they've been using wetlands for thousands of years.
Right.
With farming and making gardens.
Right.
And they've understood the wetlands.
Right.
But when you come to the city, and that's my focus is on wetlands in the city.
Right.
We build on the uplands.
Right.
We build houses and roads, and that stops the rain falling on the ground, so we don't get any recharge of groundwater. And also, when it does rain, we get masses of flood, so we increase the runoff.
Right.
With less silt, actually.
Because of the surfacing of...
Because we've covered the surface.
Great.
Now that's a huge problem because the wetland relies on seepage from the groundwater. So when you talk about the wetland, you should be talking about the uplands as well.
Yeah.
And in the city, there's a huge problem.
Let's, without getting too technical on some of the challenges that the city finds itself with regards to drainage, how then do we navigate our way around the uplands in relation to sustaining the wetlands?
Well, when we, in the suburb, we have gardens, we have trees. Trees are absolutely vital in the uplands.
Sure.
Because that's how the water, it encourages water to seep into and recharge.
Right.
We've been pumping water out, more and more groundwater. That groundwater should have gone to the wetland, and down to the river and down to the lake.
Right.
But we pump it out. We take it away from the wetland. That's the problem.
Right.
So what we've got to do in the uplands, in the catchment areas, is form berms around the trees.
Form?
Berms.
Right.
Just you know, some call it a half moon. A little trench, and dig around the trees to catch the drips from the leaves. So it needs to be the same circumference as the tree covers. And you form these, and you catch rain.
So that when the water, of course, flows down, it'll get caught with the berms which are around the base of the tree.
Now, this idea was invented in this country many, many years ago.
Right.
By a Mr. Piri.
Right.
In Masvingo.
Right.
He's always said, when you plant your crops, you must plant the rain first.
Right.
He calls it planting the rain. Catch the rain and get it into the ground.
Right.
So it's not...
Would that be similar to the trellis farming on slopes?
Yes, the contours help and the key line. So actually the wetland itself is impervious to water. What happens in the wetland is that the groundwater becomes surface and forms rivers.
Right.
So it's a mistake to say that the wetland is where our water is. Our water is in the uplands.
Right.
That's the problem.
Okay.
So in a way, everything Juliet said is I agree with. She's absolutely right about the birds and the value of wetlands.
Right.
But in fact, we need to worry about the uplands badly.
Now, when we talk about worrying about the uplands, and I do want to get into extraction of groundwater a bit later on in our discussion, concerns have been raised around developments that we see in wetlands. A lot of commercial stands, residential stands. Maybe you can give us an appreciation of, more importantly, what the current position is around development in the wetlands, using, of course, the environmental management agencies' role through the Environmental Management Act, but also, more importantly, around land ownership and development around land that has wetland preserves.
Well, one of the problems is actually that wetlands are owned, a lot of them are privately owned. That is a big problem.
So privately owned land happens to be where a lot of wetlands are.
Exactly.
Right, okay.
Now that's one thing, but the other thing is that each wetland is very different. I mean, if to generalize, there are two types of wetlands.
Sure.
The ones in Musasa Seki on the Mukavuzi tend to be wetlands that absorb quite a lot of water because the soil is sandy. It's called sandy loam, and it sits on a sheet of granite. Now, if
being sandy, does that make it porous?
Porous,
yeah,
porous. Right. Whereas a lot of the ones I'm dealing with at the moment in Zalisari is clay, thick clay. It's called vertisol, and that actually opens up in the summer with big cracks, deep cracks, and then it closes when the rains come. And it really is impervious to water, so that's how the water gets to the surface and then runs into the rivers.
Right.
So really wetlands are river formers. I think Juliet is exactly right, they form rivers.
They form rivers.
But they're taking their water from the groundwater and the surface water, and then holding it. The plants, in fact, develop. And the plants that develop are sort of plants that get used to being wet and dry and wet and dry, and the soil is doing this and doing this. So it's alive, the soil. And absolutely right, the environmentalists, to say that the wetlands are extremely rich and fertile. All the goodness is run off the uplands into the wetlands.
So then how then do we address the challenge of privately owned land, but that has also got an a wetland preserve, and then also that wetland also being given a recognition for either its conservation or its management, yet outside of the environment, the other two pillars being the social and the economic, it seems to be a bit of a concern here. There are economic benefits by building, but at the same time, I think there are social benefits by housing, but the environmental, your thoughts?
Well, look, it's in the particular one I'm dealing with at the moment, I'm actually trying to introduce the traditional wetland farming.
Right.
And for farming you need water.
Sure.
That water I'm getting from the sewers. Now if you can imagine what's happening, we are sucking the water out of the ground, drinking it, using it, and then it comes out the bottom.
Right.
And it goes into drains all the way down to Lake Chivero.
Right.
Those drains actually cross my wetland.
Right.
I want to take that water and I want to filter it with what we call a DeWatts, which is a concentrated wetland. Actually, it's in concrete.
So in essence, would it be fair to assume that you're using the wetlands natural purification system
exactly
to purify wastewater that would have normally gone through all the way to Chivero? And I'm keen about here. Please expand.
The reason is that Chivero is completely overloaded. I mean, actually, it's in a bad state. Too much wastewater is going into Lake Chivero because we've increased the population faster than we've increased our filtration system.
Right.
Now, if you use the Duat system, which actually the Chinese use, they used in Asia, used all over, and particularly in Germany and in America, and it's used here. It's using the sun to filter, to grow the plants, to filter the water.
Right.
So it's actually thinking of how the wetland works, concentrating it,
right,
and using that system, the wetland system, to filter the water.
Right. So if I just simply, we've got the wastewater traveling. It's caught up in the wetland catchment.
Yeah.
The nutrients, let's call them that, that then remain within the waste are then absorbed, and they contribute towards the growth of the plants,
right,
of the fauna within the wetland, managed, of course, by the sun, and then the pure water that then goes to?
That we can use for farming.
Right. So it's repurposed for farming. On that wetland.
I mean, we use, if we think about it, we use far more water on our gardens and growing food than we actually use for ourselves, washing and drinking. So you're talking about 70% of the water. If you grow food in a city, in this particular wetland I'm talking about, you have to think about other wetlands differently. But what I'm doing is copying the Seki.
Right. I'm copying the Seke model. Right. Carbon sinks. Right. Would that also contribute towards having a carbon sink?
Yes.
And if so, how would that then translate into carbon sequestration?
Well, the basic thing is that I'm using, first of all, I'm using aerobic. This gets into chemistry.
Let's try and keep this simple as we can, but fine.
There are millions of animals, very small ones, and big ones, and birds, and birds and animals, and plants.
Right.
Plants absorb carbon dioxide from the air.
Right.
They are made of carbon dioxide.
Sure.
Plus a few minerals from the ground and water. So if what we're doing is increasing the productivity of absorption. So what I'm doing with the wet, I'm using actually human waste.
That's it.
To fertilize. This is now, if you go to China, they've been doing this for thousands of years.
Right.
And so have we.
Right.
If we go back in history, because that's how we do it. Now there's another city. There's Mexico City, where they do the chinampas.
Right.
Now chinampas is actually very similar to traditional farming.
To Dambo farming.
But it's done with lots more water.
Right.
It is wetland farming.
Right.
The Dutch have
of course
produced the Dutch export they're the second largest exporter of food in the world.
Right.
After America. From a wetland farming. The whole country is wetland.
Right. Now let's look at the preservation. Okay, let's look at how currently Zimbabwe's agricultural-based drives are looking at climate mitigation-based methods. If a case was put forward around Dambo farming to be implemented within wetland catchments, would that not address the urban farming or urban agri-based sustainability? And if so, how best would such a position be implemented holistically?
This book actually tells the whole story.
Right.
I mean, it's amazing that this was done in 1995. And these books are sitting in university and no one reads them.
Right.
I mean, it's all there in a very general way.
Right.
But every single wetland needs to be considered. So I think separately. And you know what is a pity about for instance, the Seki farmers, they've been doing it all the time.
Yeah.
But they don't get any support from government.
Right.
They don't get any, Agritex doesn't go there and give them advice.
But then you also did mention about some of the archaic laws
that
are still implemented today, especially around wetlands, and maybe that could be discouraging for Dambo farming to be adopted. I'm keen to pick your brain.
Well, 1927, the Water Act more or less said no farming at all on wetlands, no dambo farming. Now, in fact, what happened, of course, was that the Zimbabwean people were separated between laborers on the white farms and the reserves.
Right.
You remember the story.
Yes.
They were pushed into the marginalized land, less rain and less soil.
Right.
And they had to rely on their dambos.
Right.
More and more. And unfortunately, they overloaded the dambos.
Okay.
Now, the dambos are very fragile. Can you imagine this thin layer or layers of clay that produce all this amazing wealth of productivity, but no trees. The trees sit on the
edges.
So if you chop those trees down, you get more runoff.
Sure.
And unfortunately, that runs off into the rivers, and then it fills up the dams. And of course, when the white farmers actually started before 1927, I think the next act was 1953, the Natural Resources Act. That was actually to stop the commercial farmers from using the dambos.
Right.
Because what they did is what they do in England.
Right.
Or in Holland. They dig ditches and they drain the dambo.
Right.
Now, if you do that, you actually, in this case, in this climate, you actually dry the dambo out. I mean, the dambo is a sponge, and the sponge is actually in the soil, but also in the plants.
Also in the plants, yeah.
And in an anaerobic situation, they produce peat, which is a huge sponge.
Right.
So what the dambos do is to hold the water through the dry season. That enables the gardens. Now the other big thing is that the gardens need to be restored. We need that food from the gardens. Why? You know what those gardens used to produce?
Yeah.
Rice, local rice, and a great variety of root crops.
Right.
Do you remember the senses?
Right.
When I was a kid, you know, I was born 87 years ago here.
Right.
I remember in Nyanga, I used to live in Nyanga, we used to eat senses all the time. Where are they gone?
Right.
They came from the gardens.
Right.
You remember the ridges and the troughs and the ridges and the troughs.
Right.
Now that system of farming holds the floods so
there's retention in the water.
And they put rice in the furrows, and they grow the root crops that need aeration. So they understood exactly how to farm in a wetland.
Right.
Now, when you get to the city,
Right.
the problem is by covering the uplands, we get these floods in the rains, and we lose the groundwater because we're sucking it out.
Right.
So we have to compensate for that. That's what I'm doing in this case.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, of course, we'd love to expand a bit more on dambo farming, and we will, especially at a great length through our current affairs engagements. I do want to also bring back a key concern around water.
Right.
Availability of water, especially within the urban areas. Concern has been raised that the continual drilling of boreholes within urban areas and certain developments such as cluster homes and also even commercial developments within residential areas is going to result in this Harare's water table being depleted. What is the current position around that? But more importantly, how do we avoid such a situation taking place?
We have to start recycling,
right,
big time, honestly. What I'm suggesting in a lot of the wetlands, in very small areas, is to produce, because where the sewers run through the wetlands,
right,
we start building DeWatt systems, which actually recycle the water. That water is after going through the DeWatts, it's very easy to purify it.
Right.
You can use the sun again, UV filtration. You can actually drink that water.
Okay.
So that we have to recycle.
Right.
Big time.
And in recycling, does that mean that we are not going to see or shouldn't see any more structures being developed around wetland areas?
No, I mean, the problem, what I've described, has to be paid for.
Right.
And the way to pay for it is to put. Now, what I'm afraid, instead of cluster homes, the problem with cluster developments is they just cover more ground and reduce recharge. Recharge is used to be about 3 or 4% of the rainfall. It's now down to much lower.
Much lower than that.
It's difficult to measure.
Okay.
But it depends very much on the absorption of the ground and how many trees there are. So we need to think of actually going up and reducing the footprint.
Right.
Now in China, I was building buildings with the biggest development company in China for 3 years. We were limited to the footprint. We were not allowed to cover any more land. So we had to go up 37 stories.
Right.
Now, I don't think we need to do 37 stories here, but we need to go up,
right,
put people in the air.
And stop spreading.
So we cover less ground.
Cover less ground.
So we can keep ground, the uplands, feeding the recharge to feed the wetlands.
Right. I'll pick up on those points a bit later on. However, we will take a very short break and we'll be back with more of our coverage of the COP15, a conference of the parties on the RAMSAR Convention currently underway at the majestic Victoria Falls. And as we are, of course, looking forward to the momentous keynote address made by His Excellency President Comrade Emmerson Mnangagwa for the conference of the parties RAMSAR Convention. We'll take a short break and be right back with more. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Victoria Falls, one of the 7 natural wonders of the world and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. This breathtaking waterfall is a force of nature that will leave you awestruck. 1.1 million cubic liters of water crash down every minute, creating a mist that rises like a ghostly mistress. The Victoria Falls is a spectacle that straddles the border of Zambia and Zimbabwe. Known by locals as Mosi Oyatunya, the smoke that thunders, this waterfall is a wonder that has captivated people for centuries. The Victoria Falls National Park, which encompasses the wetlands, was designated as a RAMSAR site in 2013. The wetlands cover approximately 1,750 hectares of diverse habitats, including Mopani forests, Miombo woodlands, and basaltic gorges. The wetlands are a haven for a rich array of wildlife, including elephants, the endangered black rhino, lions, buffaloes, hippos, zebras, and monkeys. The wetlands are also home to reptiles and amphibians such as the African python and Nile crocodiles, which thrive in this ecosystem. Over 500 bird species can be found in the area, including falcon eagles, black storks, and herons that feed and nest in the wetlands. The Zambezi River supports over 75 fish species, including the iconic tiger fish. Victoria Falls is hosting the 15th meeting of the Conference of the Parties to the RAMSAR Convention on Wetlands. This important gathering will discuss the conservation and sustainable use of wetlands around the world. The Victoria Falls wetlands are a natural wonder, a haven for wildlife, and a crucial ecosystem that supports the local community. Let's work together to protect this precious resource for future generations.
Welcome back to this special broadcast of the Conference of the People's Convention on the RAMSAR Convention, currently underway at the Victoria Falls. Of course, this being the 15th edition, and significant also in that it would have its keynote address being highlighted by a head of state for the first time in its history, that being, of course, being brought by President Emmerson Mnangagwa, who would be delivering that keynote address a bit later on today. We will be making sure that we do crossover live for those updates, where we're joined by Peggy, Temba, Yvonne, and of course the ever so fun time having Kirtley, who will be giving us the rundown from the Victoria Falls. We do implore you to be part of the conversation. Let us know your questions, your comments, and your contributions on our social media platforms, as we always do appreciate hearing from you. We've had quite a few guests in studio helping me unpack quite a few key areas around wetlands, their importance, their significance, but at the same time understanding how to manage them, their sustainability, and ensuring, of course, the future generations would be able to appreciate this environment that we have today. Still extending our discussions with Mr. Mick Pierce, who is an architect and also a built environment specialist, and was also touching on some of the key tenets that come around wetlands and their conservation. Let's dig back to a key area that you highlighted around wetlands and uplands, that we focus too much on the wetland when in actual fact the upland is what necessitates water being made available in the wetlands, as wetlands are only holding and storing water in the form of a sponge. I think I've done my lesson for the day.
No, that was good.
But also in having such a lesson, we can't help but look at the challenges for water in Harare. Neighborhoods within the northern parts of the city haven't had direct water for nearly 20 years, if not longer. Residents within the eastern and western suburbs, also within the southern, have had access to water, but concerns around the level of cleanliness of the water that speaks towards the current state that Lake Chivero is in at the moment. It's a concern. What are the solutions? What are the options? But more importantly, how then do we resolve the crisis of water within Zimbabwe's urban areas?
Well, it's a very complex problem, I'm afraid, but you've heard that so many times. In fact, what's happening is that water actually goes back into the groundwater, so it helps a bit. The other thing is that our sewers, I think, when we drink the water, it goes through our bodies and or washing and so on into pipes.
Right.
And 35% of us have a septic tank and a soakaway in the garden.
Yes.
Okay. That water goes into the ground as well. That's a help. But I think only 11% actually have sewers. And that's where hopefully, where the densification is happening. Because once you get to a certain, once you cover so much ground, you cannot have a soakaway.
Right.
It just won't work. So I think it's about 11% only is on sewer. And then the rest, the 60% I think have left, is pit latrine. Now, of course, the population is on the other side of the railway.
Right.
The south.
Right.
And that's where my Seki farmers are, a bit further to the south. And they all have wetlands, big time. And they also have sewers running through them. That's where I'd like to see a lot more farming.
Right.
But designed, taking hints from the original type of farming, but being more like the Chinampas in Mexico City, where you actually control floods. You've heard about all the flooding in Chitinguiza.
Yes.
That's actually wetlands.
Right.
And when you cover the wetlands, it's absolutely hopeless. I mean, what we've got to do is to be very careful about seeing how the wetlands perform, its function. Its function to form streams and rivers on the surface. And particularly at the edge, what we call the spring line, where the springs are, where it's leaking water from the uplands, groundwater. Now, of course, the more groundwater we take without recharging, the less water feeds through. And I'm afraid Monavale, which I've visited so often, is drying out.
It's drying out, yeah.
It's the same in Nairobi. Nairobi's got a terrible problem. They're sucking all the water out of the ground.
Right.
And their forests, their landscape is changing.
So if I could pick up very quickly before we cross over to the Victoria Falls, you said that recharging is critical.
Absolutely.
And if you could just practically maybe share with our audiences what recharging looks like?
Well, you've got to find places where you can hold water.
Right.
When it rains.
Right.
So in your garden, dig some half-moon trenches around the trees. Look up in the trees.
Circumference of the...
Yeah. Remember, the water comes from the top of the roof down.
Right.
So you then follow it. And a good way is to sit on a log and just watch it when it rains.
Right.
Just follow the water, see how it runs. And then work out ways of holding it back.
Right.
Holding it back and letting it seep in. Particularly where it's a bit sandy. You know, some of the ground is non-absorbent. But some of the ground is rocky. It doesn't look as though it's absorbent, but it is.
It does.
So you need to understand how to plant the rain.
We'll get into a few of those tips and tricks on how to actually make sure that one does retain water within their locale, so that it can contribute towards not only the water table but the wetland within your area. Exactly. We're now going to be crossing over to the Victoria Falls to Yvonne Mkondani, who will be giving us the update on the RAMSAR Convention currently underway.
The 15th meeting of the Conference of the Contracting Parties to the RAMSAR Convention right here at Elephant Hills, Victoria Falls in Zimbabwe. Thank you for giving us your time.
Indeed, shortly, His Excellency, the President of the Second Republic, Dr. Emmerson Mnangagwa, will be opening officially COP15 2025. But as we continue to explore more wetlands, for now we'll take you to the Victoria Falls.
Everybody looks at Victoria Falls as the go-to place. It's a World Heritage Site and it's a RAMSAR site. It's the ecosystem that is there that brings people to come and look at Victoria Falls. The falls on their own, the spray that it produces, it supports a variety of wildlife species.
Welcome to Victoria Falls, one of the 7 natural wonders of the world and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. This breathtaking waterfall is a force of nature that will leave you awestruck. 1.1 million cubic liters of water crash down every minute, creating a mist that rises like a ghostly mistress. The Victoria Falls is a spectacle that straddles the border of Zambia and Zimbabwe. Known by locals as Mosi Oyatunya, the smoke that thunders, this waterfall is a wonder that has captivated people for centuries. The Victoria Falls National Park, which encompasses the wetlands, was designated as a RAMSAR site in 2013. The wetlands cover approximately 1,750 hectares of diverse habitats, including Mopani forests, Miombo woodlands, and basaltic gorges. The wetlands are a haven for a rich array of wildlife, including elephants, the endangered black rhino, lions, buffaloes, hippos, zebras, and monkeys. The wetlands are also home to reptiles and amphibians such as the African python and Nile crocodiles, which thrive in this ecosystem.
We also have mammals such as the hippo, the elephant, and others that thrive on the vegetation. This is the services that the wetland is providing. We also have amphibians, frogs, which are important in the ecosystem functioning. We also have reptiles such as the crocodile. Then a variety of fish species such as the tigerfish, which we know, which is an iconic fish species, and a range of brims.
Over 500 bird species can be found in the area, including falcon eagles, black storks, and herons that feed and nest in the wetlands.
The diversity that it harbors, we've got a range of bird species, migratory, as well as the resident ones, such as the African fish eagle that we have, the endangered Taita falcon.
The Zambezi River supports over 75 fish species, including the iconic tigerfish. Victoria Falls is hosting the 15th meeting of the Conference of the Parties to the RAMSAR Convention on Wetlands. This important gathering will discuss the conservation and sustainable use of wetlands around the world.
It's a pristine environment. It really showcases what conservation of wetlands can really bring benefits to people. So this is the one thing that has made us decide to have Victoria Falls come on board as the host of COP15. So COP15 is going to provide a platform for Zimbabwe to showcase its conservation efforts in terms of wetlands. It will also be a platform for policy dialogue and also sharing of ideas on how wetlands are conserved, and also strategies towards global wetland conservation, which will be to the benefit of the populace.
The Victoria Falls wetlands are a natural wonder, a haven for wildlife, and a crucial ecosystem that supports the local community. Let's work together to protect this precious resource for future generations.
A significant day for Zimbabwe, a significant day for the world, a significant day for the environmental community as it gathers here in Victoria Falls today for the official opening of the COP15 by the head of state and government, His Excellency Comrade Emmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa. Now let's talk about SDG number 6, which speaks to the provision of clean water and sanitation to all by the year 2030, of course dovetailing into our national vision, national development strategy, one part of which speaks to the restoration of degraded wetlands.
And there's so much that needs to be considered as far as wetlands conservation is concerned, but not only for our Zimbabwean, but also for the international arena. The globe itself has to look deeper into the conservation of wetlands to make sure that our climate change is controlled, and also to make sure that we just breathe what we need to breathe.
Exactly.
Yes. So let's take a look at more wetlands. Let's take a look at Driefontein.
Zimbabwe lies a hidden gem of global significance. Welcome to the Driefontein Grasslands, a RAMSAR site. In the heart of Zimbabwe lies a hidden gem of global significance. Open Highville. Welcome to the Driefontein Grasslands, home to numerous sites since 2013. And vast woodlands of open several rivers originate Wade grasslands, making it as crucial to numerous major river systems. And Mayombo woodlands, several rivers originate making it a crucial water for major river systems.
Nyazvidzi ne two Zimbabwe rivers litu ne hombe yacho tichibva muchivu tichiya kuno ende nechepamusoro pacho pana Zimbabwe pakatoiswa dam iko zvino nokuda kwemawetlands. Tine Bvupfu river, tine this Deure river, tine Muteregwe river, tine dzimwe hova zhinji dzandingakwanisi kudoma dzakawandisa. Tinana Chivake river vanobva panapa vari 2. Vese ivava vana Chivake river nana Deure river vanopinda muNyanyazvidzi. Ende kuzasi kwacho uko kunoita dam. Saka madhamu mazhinji ari munomu ari kubva pano paGrasslands. Tichienda kuKwekwe, vanhu vekuKwekwe vari kutoonwa mvura inobva kuno kwatiri. VemuKwekwe. Vanhu vekuMazvingo vari kutoonwa mvura iri kubva muTilikwi. Tichibva panapa inobva pano paDriefontein.
The wetlands provide a haven for majestic birds, including the endangered grey-crowned crane. This is a breeding and feeding ground for many species.
These are unique grasslands in the central part of our country that are really beautiful and that are recognized globally. And you find some of the birds, such as even the Kori bustards, some secretary birds, even some cranes, like wattled cranes, that are found in Driefontein.
The Driefontein grasslands acts as natural sponges, absorbing and releasing water slowly. This vital function maintains river flow, recharges groundwater, and protects surrounding communities from floods and droughts.
Tinorima nguva ya July kudyara mbesa. Tinorima raisi, tinorima mavise, tinorima nyimo, nyemba. Dzinorimwa muno vanhu vazhinji kuzvino vakatodzikowa. Hatinyanyi kuzoita nzara inoita mukurumbira sezvinoita kumwe.
The Driefontein Grasslands are a treasure trove of biodiversity and ecological significance. Let's preserve this resource for future generations.
Meet me in Zimbabwe. Meet me in Zimbabwe. Meet me in Zimbabwe. Meet me in Zimbabwe. Land of sunshine, land of plenty, land of blue sky, land of promise, overflowing milk and honey. That's where I wanna be. It's a place for you and me. So hlangane Zimbabwe tina. So hlangane Zimbabwe. Yebo so hlangane Zimbabwe mama. So hlangane Zimbabwe. Land in between two great rivers. There's Zambezi, the Limpopo, with meanders full of wonders. Land of nature, land of beauty. Every valley has a lily, jacaranda and mimosa. Every hillside, it's a pastime paradise. There is something in this land that's so special and so rare. Its history is full of mystery. I cannot tell you what it is. You can find it on your own when you're there. Sangana ku Zimbabwe vagomana. Sangana Zimbabwe. To sangana ku Zimbabwe vazikana. Sangana Zimbabwe. To sangana kwa Murewa. To sangana ku Rusape. To sangana ku Marondera. To sangana kwa Mutare. To sangana ku Zimbabwe vanamaye. Meet me in Zimbabwe.
COP15 live from Victoria Falls. Today is the official opening ceremony by the President, Comrade Emmerson Mnangagwa. We are looking forward to that. Any minute from now, that will be happening. But yesterday, you just gave us a brief into the history of the RAMSAR, what it is and how it started. Do you mind walking us through it again?
Oh yes, so the first RAMSAR Convention was held in 1971, that's right, in Iran, hence the name RAMSAR. It was held at RAMSAR in 1971 in Iran. So this time around, this is the first time in 20 years it is being held in Africa, and the first time it is held in Zimbabwe. So this is really a monumental opportunity right now that's unraveling. Excellency President Emmerson Mnangagwa will be opening shortly, and of course we'll be giving you that live update right now, right here, as it happens. But once again, you spoke of wetlands being very essential to the climate preservation. Exactly what are we saying? What are wetlands? Are they puddles of water? Are they dams? Are they rivers? What are wetlands?
Okay, so essentially, in simple terms, these are the water bodies that give us life. Now, if you're following yesterday, we said in very simple terms, they give us food, they give us water, they store carbon, and they are responsible for sustaining lives from one end of the earth to the other. They are the lungs of the earth.
All right.
Basically, they keep the water, they keep the earth alive, they keep everything and everyone moving. So wetlands are important. That's why we are gathered here today for this very conversation. And also another monumental thing that will be happening at this convention today is that Zimbabwe will be assuming a chairmanship, presidency in fact, of the convention. We're coming from the chairmanship of SADC, which we're handing over to Madagascar, and now we're assuming the chairmanship from China, and we will have it for about 3 years. And this also speaks to us as a country, our conservation efforts, and how we take that seriously.
Indeed, it is super amazing that from one space of chairmanship in the SADC blog to another COP15 presidency, it will be held right here in Zimbabwe for the next 3 years. And all people who are involved as far as conservation is concerned, especially the relevant stakeholders, will be challenged to bring their A game to the table so that the world can learn from us. Because out here we are indulging the world to commit to our conservation as far as wetlands is concerned, to also effect change and climate change, and of course water resource management.
And earlier on we spoke about Sustainable Development Goal number 6, which speaks to the provision of clean water and sanitation for all by the year 2030, bringing the conversation home. Let's look at our national vision, National Development Strategy 1, which speaks to the restoration of degraded wetlands in Zimbabwe. And now I told you that yesterday we spoke to the chairperson of this convention, Dr. Musonda Mumba, who was really excited about how Zimbabwe has handled this meeting, how Zimbabwe is hosting this conference. And she said it is especially important to them that the president is the one who's going to be officiating, which is the first in the history of the convention, and also speaks to how as a country we're taking conservation efforts very seriously, how this has become no more just an environmental issue, but now a political issue top on government agenda, which means that everything that has to do with the environment is top priority for Zimbabwe.
Indeed, to have more than 2,400 delegates in this one place at this very time right now, more than 170 countries coming together for the COP15 2025 is truly monumental, especially now that you've mentioned that His Excellency Dr. Emmerson Mnangagwa is going to be officially opening up this here monumental event. It makes it all the more bigger than meets the eye, you know what I mean?
And yesterday was the opening day. It was a day for just the countries and the contracting parties here present to meet and deliberate and come up with the issues that they will be presenting here today. And talking about presentation, today as a country we will present what we've termed the Victoria Falls Declaration, which sees to the conservation efforts Zimbabwe currently has in as far as wetlands are concerned, because these are the lungs of the earth. These are very important in as far as preserving life, preserving wildlife. Earlier on we spoke to Julia from BirdLife Zimbabwe. She was telling us how birds are important. Many a times we talk about wildlife, how wildlife fit into the environmental conversation, but have you ever just paused for a minute and thought about the birds?
I have never thought about the birds until I heard that conversation that you just had. I always think of like birds. You know what I mean? I had never really quite grasped how they contribute to the survival of our ecosystem and how that sustains our environment.
And how they also depend on the water bodies.
Yes, yes, especially that.
So we're here in Victoria Falls, Zimbabwe for the COP15 summit, the 15th meeting of the Conference of the Contracting Parties to be officially opened by the head of state and government, Comrade Emmerson Mnangagwa. Today we'll see deliberations, announcements and solutions that will speak to the conservation efforts being undertaken by the world as a whole. So we're here talking about wetlands known in Shona as Matoro, and you may be there wondering why these are important. Why are we gathered here to speak about that? But this is what makes us who we are. This is what gives us life. This is what gives us water. This is what gives us food. This shapes us as the human race.
Indeed. So in the conversations, the high-level conversations, I might add, that are going to be had at the COP 2025, COP 15 2025, pardon me. Some of the key issues that are going to be discussed include sustainable use of wetlands, protection of freshwater sources, biodiversity protection, as well as climate change and mitigation. Now, we have experts from all over the world to sit on this table and discuss how we are going to move forward as planet Earth, and not only that, as Africa and also as a Zimbabwe.
And this is a conversation that should be had, I think, from grassroots level, because growing up, you've just been taught, wetlands. I'll put this in Shona. I said wetlands are matoro in Shona, right? This can be a teaching moment for you, just making your Shona really be sharpened up. We call them matoro in Shona. Not matoro, it's matoro.
Okay, matoro.
Yes, in Shona. And matoro nduwa tunorima rice.
Alright.
So for the person at home, you're probably just watching and saying, you know what, these are just wetlands. This is my source of livelihood. This is where I do my rice farming, because rice needs a lot of water to thrive. But we're here to make sure that we create that nexus, that balance between sustaining livelihoods and nature preservation.
And I've never quite really grasped exactly how they clear the air, because in my recent studies recently, I came to find out that wetlands are not just about the earth itself, but also about the atmosphere, about the oxygen, about the trees. It's so much that is affected by wetlands that I never could imagine that actually is relevant towards wetlands. So we have seen wetlands in Victoria Falls, all over the country, and all these spaces now are being affected by the growth of mining, as well as a lot of other issues that are related to growth of people, of course, you know what I mean, of people who are trying to also get by. So how do we then balance land acquisition for infrastructure development, and also mining, and also at the same time making sure that we conserve these wetlands?
I think what is important is to just grasp the fact that we all depend on these water bodies to thrive. As human beings, we depend on the water bodies, the animals, the birds. At the same time, we need to survive. But destroying water bodies is not the solution to the problems that we have. Rather than to live together, embrace them, appreciate them for what they are, appreciate them for what they give us, and that way we can thrive.
Indeed, we will, as long as we move together as one. And remember, the key discussion as far as COP15 is concerned is global commitment towards conservation of wetlands.
So for now, let's cross over to one of the RAMSAR sites, which is the Mana Pools.
Mana Pools National Park was designated in 1963 as a national park, and it was also recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1984, and was also recognized as a RAMSAR site in 2013.
Deep in the heart of northern Zimbabwe, where the mighty Zambezi River flows, lies a haven of pristine wilderness and exceptional wildlife. Welcome to Mana Pools, a UNESCO World Heritage Site and Ramsar site, teeming with life and natural beauty. The name Mana means four in the local language, referring to these four large permanent oxbow lakes, remnants of the Zambezi River's historical course. These pools are crucial for wildlife, especially during the dry season, providing a lifeline for the incredible diversity of animals that call this place home.
The word Mana comes from the four pools, one of which you are seeing from the background, which is Chisasiko Pool, and of course the Long Pool on the south, and Green Pool and Chine Pool. Mana Pools as a RAMSAR site, it was recognized due to its importance with wetlands. As you all know, with the Zambezi River that is flowing through Mana Pools and the floodplain that is forming these four pools that are more supportive in terms of water supply for our biodiversity. It is also recognized as a biodiversity hotspot with different number of herbivores and carnivores and bird species. In terms of herbivores, generally we've got the largest mammal, which are the elephants, and we've got the buffaloes, and we've got the kudus, and we've got the elands and the nyala, and so on. And in terms of carnivores, we've got the most famous, the lions, we've got the leopards, we've got the cheetahs, we've got the wild dogs, which are more endangered. We've got also the hyenas.
But Mana Pools is not just a haven for large mammals. Over 450 resident and migratory bird species breed in these wetlands, including the vibrant carmine bee-eaters, the charming Nyasa lovebirds, and the elegant rock pranticles.
Mana Pools is identified as an important bird area. We've got the waterbirds, the African jacana, the grey herons, we've got the marabou storks, which are also endangered. We've got also the vultures are also key here in Mana Pools ecosystem.
The Zambezi River and its associated pools support populations of Nile crocodiles and various fish species. For the adventurous, Mana Pools offers a unique wilderness experience with opportunities for canoeing and exploring the river's tranquil waters.
Mana Pools is a tourist destination which is recognized worldwide, which attracts a lot of tourists, which brings revenue to our economy. And also socially, Mana Pools is a place where people can recreate, reconnect with nature. Mana Pools is also a cultural heritage site where you can have the history of the people who are living here in Mana Pools. As you can see, the Chisasiko pool has got a lot of history behind this pool. There were people living just around this pool, and they require that history to keep on going, and protecting this landscape also help to conserve that cultural heritage.
For those seeking close encounters with wildlife in their natural habitats, Mana Pools is a true paradise. Whether you're a seasoned safari goer or just starting out, this incredible ecosystem is sure to leave you in awe.
The Zambezi River and the 4 pools here in Mana Pools, they support a wide range of biodiversity. From the aquatic species like fish, tilapia species, you can find from the Zambezi River and also within these 4 pools. And also these 4 pools serves as a water source for most of our 4 pools during the wet season and during the dry season. These 4 pools support quite a number of hippopotamus. Even along the Zambezi River, there's quite a number of hippopotamus. These hippopotamus, they are supported by the water sources that are here as their habitat, and they also use the floodplain as their feeding ground.
Mana Pools is a key component of the Lower Zambezi Mana Pools Transfrontier Conservation Area, a massive transboundary landscape in the SADC region, a place where nature's beauty and wonder await, and where the wild.
Protecting wetlands for our common future. Which is our common future? Our common future. Yes, we're here at the Elephant Hills in Victoria Falls, and right now the President, Comrade Emmerson Mnangagwa, has arrived for the official opening ceremony of this convention.
Yes, indeed, this is the 15th meeting of the conference of the contracting parties to the RAMSAR Convention on wetlands. And of course, we are here at the Victoria Falls, and shortly the President will be opening. And indeed, it is truly a monumental moment right now, seeing as we are about to assume our presidency of the convention.
So for now, as we wait for the President, let's follow proceedings from inside the venue, where we have a choir entertaining delegates.
Promoting harmonious coexistence.
Thank you so much there, of course, to those of you who just joined us here on this live broadcast of the Conference of the People's Convention. Joined by in studio by Mick Pierce, who is in discussions. Mick? Maybe you could give us your key areas that we can touch on looking forward to preparations around the RAMSAR Convention and the Victoria Falls Declaration.
Right, three takeaways about wetland farming. Number two, you must think that every damba is its own master, its separate entity, and must be studied before you do anything. And the third is, when you're farming, you're not talking about machines because you damage the soil.
Right.
The soil is very fragile.
Right.
So you have to think of, very light machines, or you couldn't even have dam scoops and things, but basically the old farmers, the old traditional farmers in Zimbabwe knew how to do it.
Yeah.
The badzer and the shovel.
Right. What I find extraordinary here, Mick, is that adoption of indigenous knowledge systems also a key tenet to being able to come up with ways to advance ourselves going forward. And the wetland management and wetland conservancy seems to be another key way for us as humans to advance ourselves going forward. Maybe also again looking at those, but more importantly, sustaining wetland ecological systems with built environment.
Correct. Yeah. Absolutely.
That's it. No, I definitely do. Thank you so much for your contributions in our discussions here today. Looking forward, of course, to following up on the Domba farming method, but more importantly, its implementation.
Thank you.
That's it. Thank you so much for your time. And once again, we do implore you to be part of the conversation. Keep sending us your questions, comments, and your contributions. And shortly, we will be crossing over to the Victoria Falls, Elephant Hills, where we'll be seeing, of course, the clips.
I get your attention once again. If you may take your position and be seated for the entrance of His Excellency's entourage.
Welcome to Victoria Falls, one of the 7 natural wonders of the world and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. This breathtaking waterfall is a force of nature that will leave you awestruck. 1.1 million cubic liters of water crash down every minute, creating a mist that rises like a ghostly mistress. The Victoria Falls is a spectacle that straddles the border of Zambia and Zimbabwe. Known by locals as Mosi Oyatunya, the smoke that thunders, this waterfall is a wonder that has captivated people for centuries. The Victoria Falls National Park, which encompasses the wetlands, was designated as a RAMSAR site in 2013. The wetlands cover approximately 1,750 hectares of diverse habitats, including Mopani forests, Miombo woodlands, and basaltic gorges. The wetlands are a haven for a rich array of wildlife, including elephants, the endangered black rhino, lions, buffaloes, hippos, zebras, and monkeys. The wetlands are also home to reptiles and amphibians such as the African python and Nile crocodiles, which thrive in this ecosystem. Over 500 bird species can be found in the area, including falcon eagles, black storks, and herons that feed and nest in the wetlands. The Zambezi River supports over 75 fish species, including the iconic tiger fish. Victoria Falls is hosting the 15th meeting of the Conference of the Parties to the RAMSAR Convention on Wetlands. This important gathering will discuss the conservation and sustainable use of wetlands around the world. The Victoria Falls wetlands are a natural wonder, a haven for wildlife, and a crucial ecosystem that supports the local community. Let's work together to protect this precious resource for future generations.
The 15th meeting of the Conference of the Contracting Parties to the RAMSAR Convention right here in Victoria Falls, the wetland city of Victoria Falls in Zimbabwe. We are glad to have you with us right here, as the President today will be officiating the ceremony. The official opening of this convention is today, and the President is already here, received with pomp and fanfare. You see the traditional dance, the traditional singing, and everything that is going on there. For now, let's take a look at the Okavango Delta.
Welcome to Zimbabwe, the House of Stones. Zimbabwe, a land of great people, a land of wonders. From the thundering smoke of the majestic Victoria Falls to the rolling valleys and mountains of the enchanting Eastern Highlands, the mystical water spirit of the Nyami Nyami in the Kariba, one of the world's largest dams. Welcome to Zimbabwe. Tinokugashirai siyakuyamukela at this great nation full of natural wealth, wildlife and rich soils. Be at home in this great nation of warm, friendly and cultured people. Welcome to Zimbabwe. Tinokugashirai siyakuyamukela.
We are at the COP15 convention here in Victoria Falls, and any minute from now we will see the head of state, Comrade Emmerson Mnangagwa, officially opening the conference. And soon after the official opening, discussions will center on conservation, preservation, as well as the sustainable use of wetlands. But for now, let's follow proceedings.
Ask you to remain standing until the choristers have led us in the singing of the national anthem, whose words will be beamed on the screens for those that can join the singing of the national anthem of the Republic of Zimbabwe. After that, we will ask the top table to take their seats, and then the rest of us will take our seats, and the proceedings will begin thereafter. Thank you very much.
Is now here and will be officially opening this event any minute from now. He has been received by the Vice President. Is here. President Emmerson Mnangagwa is here in Victoria Falls, Zimbabwe at the Elephant Hills Hotel for the official opening of the COP15, which is the 15th meeting of the conference of the contracting parties to the RAMSAR Convention, a significant moment for Zimbabwe as it assumes presidency of this convention.
It is a dance and song, traditional dance and song, and the place is vibrant. His Excellency Dr. Emmerson Mnangagwa has arrived, and it is an electrifying moment right now, right here, as we welcome our planet Earth. The world is here. More than 2,400 delegates are here from over 170 countries, and His Excellency is about to officially open this year global event.
And another defining moment for us will be the presentation of the Victoria Falls Declaration, which will commitment to why the world is gathered here, especially as we are assuming presidency of this very important environmental conversation. Now we're here in Victoria Falls, and of course everything is happening. People are excited. We've been waiting. Like we said earlier on, the chairperson of this convention, Dr. Musonda Mumba, was really excited and really appreciative of how Zimbabwe has hosted this event thus far. The Minister of Environment, Dr. Evelyn Love, is here. I've also seen the Minister of Agriculture, Dr. Enches Masuka, also here, and all this speaks to this event because we have all the relevant stakeholders. Some names we didn't even mention, but we have the relevant stakeholders, people who matter in the environmental conversation are here in Victoria Falls. So if you're an environmental enthusiast and you're not in Victoria Falls, I don't know where you are.
Yes, indeed. So His Excellency has just entered the building. Shortly, we will witness the singing of the national anthem as the proceedings commence.
Yes, and obviously the theme of this event is protecting wetlands for our common future. And as we alluded to earlier on, Becky, we said wetlands are the lungs of the earth. Wetlands are important for us. They are the water bodies. SDG 6 and SDG number 6, Sustainable Development Goal number 6 rather, which speaks to the provision of clean water. Our National Development Strategy 1 also emphasizes on the importance of these wetlands that we have in the world.
And it's a lot of conversations, high-level conversations that's about to be had by all relevant stakeholders from all over the world to ensure that the globe itself, the planet itself, everyone on the international platform is affected by our climate. So it's important that everyone from planet Earth commits to this here cause under the convention, the RAMSAR Convention, as far as wetlands are concerned. And it's all very, very refreshing. And it's an amazing moment considering that we are just coming from the chairmanship of the SADC blog and now off to COP.
Oh
Shall you remain standing as His Excellency and the Platform Party take their seats? May we all be seated. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa, the Vice President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Honorable KCD. Represented by Deputy Executive Director of the United Nations Environmental Programme, the Secretary General of the Convention on Wetlands, Dr. M. Mumba, and other heads of international organizations. The Minister of Environment, Climate and Wildlife of the Republic of Zimbabwe and incoming Chair of the RAMSAR, Dr. E. Ndlovu, and all other ministers and deputy ministers here present, distinguished heads of delegation and members, additional leaders, development partners here present, members of the civil society, members of industry and commerce, members of the Fourth Estate, ladies and gentlemen, colleague delegates, a majestic Victoria Falls greeting to you all, and welcome to this presidential segment. And allow me, Your Excellency, to invite at this moment the Minister of State for Matabele North Province for Provincial Affairs and Devolution, Honorable R. Moyo, to welcome us to Victoria Falls. Honorable Moyo, sir.
Thank you very much, Master of Ceremonies. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Dr. Emmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa, our Vice President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Honorable KCD Muhadi, the Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Eswatini, Honorable R.M. Dlamini, the Vice President of the Republic of Malawi, Honorable Dr. M.B. Usi, the Secretary General of the United Nations, A.E. Guterres, hereby represented by Deputy Executive Director of the United Nations Environment Programme, the Secretary General of the Convention of Wetlands, Dr. M. Mumba, and other heads of international organizations, the Minister of Environment, Climate and Wildlife of Republic of Zimbabwe, Dr. Evelyn Ndlovu, all other ministers and deputy ministers here present, the Permanent Secretary of Environment, Ambassador Thaddeus Chifamba, the Permanent Secretary for Provincial Affairs and Devolution, Matabele North, Ms. S. Ngube, distinguished head of delegations, and members of the diplomatic corps, traditional leaders, development partners, civil society, business leaders, members of the Fourth Estate, ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor and privilege to welcome you all to Matabele North Province and especially to the icon city of Victoria Falls. As the host of this historic 15th meeting of the Conference of the Parties to the RAMSAR Convention on Wetlands, we are deeply honored to receive such a diverse and esteemed delegation united by a common cause, the protection and restoration of the world's wetlands. As the Minister of State for this beautiful province, I am humbled to host such a prestigious gathering and global minds committed to environment sustainability. Ladies and gentlemen, we are proud to say that this province plays a key role in Zimbabwe's conservation and tourism efforts, hosting a wide collection of wild, virgin forestry and vibrant communities that live in harmony with nature. It is only fitting then that discussion on global environment significance take place in this setting where nature still speaks with a mighty voice. Matabeleland North is a province of vast opportunities with its natural resources, untapped renewable energy potential and strong drive towards ecosystem and green infrastructure. The region offers significant investment opportunities in sustainable agriculture, clean energy, and hospitality. While you are here, I warmly invite you all to take time to explore the Hwange National Park, home to one of the Africa's largest elephant population. Please. We should not attempt to take self-pictures with these animals. Lastly, distinguished guests, allow me to once again welcome you all to the majestic city of Victoria Falls. I thank you, Nyabonga Tatenda.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, for welcoming us to Victoria Falls. At this moment, allow me to indulge you, Your Excellency, and invited guests and delegates to just watch a short 3-minute video on wetlands.
What bold actions are required today to secure their future? At COP15, the world comes together not as separate nations, but as one global community. Because no one country can solve this alone. We have protected wetlands before. Now we must go further. Stronger commitments, innovative solutions, real impact. The decisions made at COP15 will shape the future of wetlands and the future of our soil. Let us each show leadership in taking decisions and actions that will protect our wetlands. COP15 is our moment to act. Wetlands can't wait. Neither can we. Wetlands for our common future.
Thank you. Your Excellency, once in a while technology fails us. We still need to keep praying that we become better than technology. At this moment, Your Excellency, I am with the incoming chair.
That's so special and so rare. Its history is full of mystery. I cannot tell you what it is. You can find it on your own when you're there.
To come forward and welcome us to RAMSAR, COP15. She is the Honorable Dr. Evelyn Ndlovu, Minister of Environment, Climate and Wildlife.
I look over there, all I see is just so weird. People dancing, people prancing, people spending their money, they just don't care. Fussing and fighting, jumping one another, working all day for just a mere dollar. It's a crazy big city, just like any other way. Cats and dogs are living in a pile while you and I are living.
The Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Eswatini, Honorable R.M. Dlamini, the Vice President of the Republic of Malawi, Honorable Dr. M.B. Usi, the Secretary General of the United Nations, A. Guterres, hereby represented by the Deputy Executive Director of the other heads of international organizations here present. The Minister of Environment, Climate and Wildlife of the Republic of China, who has just handed over to me the flag, and all other ministers and deputy ministers here present, distinguished heads of delegations, and members of the diplomatic corps, traditional leaders, development partners, civil society, business leaders, members of the Fourth Estate, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the majestic Victoria Falls in Zimbabwe, the land between the two rivers. Your Excellency,
welcome to Zimbabwe, a land of stunning landscapes, rich culture, and most importantly, a people whose smiles light up the darkest corners of the world. Here in the heart of Southern Africa, every smile holds a story, and every interaction is an invitation to connect. From the majestic Victoria Falls to the ancient ruins of Great Zimbabwe, the beauty of this country is matched as people. Zimbabweans take great pride in their hospitality, often greeting visitors with wide smiles and open hearts. Zimbabwe is a land rich in culture and traditions. Festivals celebrating music, dance, and community bring people together, and smiles are the universal language spoken by all. In every celebration, you'll find joy not just in the event itself, but in the people who share it with you. It's about the relationships we build, the stories we share, and the laughter that echoes in the hills. Each smile breaks down barriers and builds bridges of friendship. From the breathtaking beauty of Hwange National Park to the serene shores of Lake Kariba, nature and its creatures bring smiles to faces young and old. Majestic animals in their natural habitat creates unforgettable memories and lasting connections. As your journey comes to an end, it's the smiles that you carry with you that will remain etched in your heart. Each encounter, each laugh is a reminder of the kindness and hospitality that makes Zimbabwe a truly special destination. Whether exploring the bustling streets or the tranquil countryside, remember that every smile you encounter is an invitation to understand Zimbabwe more deeply. So come and experience the smiles of Zimbabwe, where each one is a connection waiting to be made. With all this beauty and splendor, one might believe that Zimbabwe is just all about natural scenes, beauty and smiles. Zimbabwe is a business hub where people all over the world gather to do business, to meet and greet. Conferences in Zimbabwe are full of moments where a smile can make a big difference. Whether you're meeting someone for the first time, asking a question during a session, or just passing by someone in the hallway, a smile can convey so much. It's a universal sign of friendliness and openness. It says, I'm approachable and I'm here to engage with you. And remember that smile you share with nature? It's more than just a physical gesture. It's a reflection of how we feel when we're in tune with the natural and business world. Calm, content, and connected. Smiling releases endorphins, right? And those little feel-good hormones boost our mood and make us feel better. And the next time you sit down to eat something delicious, not only is your body saying thank you for the nourishment, but your brain is also getting that extra little boost of happiness. So the next time you're out on the golf course in Zimbabwe, doing business, exchanging cards, and making your next $1 million, take a moment to truly appreciate where you are. Let the beauty of the course, the serenity of nature, and the joy of the game fill you up. Smile not just for the good shots, but for the whole experience. And remember the 19th hole, where friends, laughter, challenges wrap up the whole scene. Zimbabwean smiles are a beacon, inviting the world to come and experience the warmth and kindness that flows through the veins of our culture and flows through our blood. So wherever you're from, and for whatever reason you are here, know that when you step into Zimbabwe, you're not just visiting a country. You are being welcomed by a people who carry the light of Africa in their hearts. Welcome to Zimbabwe, where smiles are the most precious currency and everyone is a friend waiting to be made. Zimbabwe, a land of smile.
Ndlovu and other ministers here present, Minister of State for Provincial Affairs and Devolution, Matabeleland North Province, and other ministers of state here present, deputy ministers here present, heads of international organizations, your excellencies, ambassadors, and members of the diplomatic corps, government officials, traditional leaders here present, development partners, esteemed delegates. Distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, it is both an honor and a distinct privilege for me to welcome you all to the majestic Muswatunya, the smoke that thunders, known worldwide as the Victoria Falls, one of the world's greatest natural wonders and a RAMSAR designated wetland of international importance. Today, we gather here for a defining moment, the official opening of the 15th Conference of the Cooperating Parties to the RAMSAR Convention on Wetlands, COP15. It is a milestone in our collective efforts to safeguard wetlands for climate resilience, biodiversity, and sustainable development. Distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, I'm humbled and highly gratified to introduce a leader whose environmental vision and actions have encouraged Zimbabwe's national development. His Excellency Dr. Emmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa, President of the Republic of Zimbabwe. His Excellency is a true champion of the environment, both at home and abroad. Under his bold and forward-looking leadership, Zimbabwe has placed the climate action, environmental stewardship, and the protection of wetlands at the heart of its national development agenda. His Excellency's government has prioritized environmental governance as a key pillar of our journey towards an upper middle income society by the year 2030. Indeed, our vision 2030. Beyond our borders, His Excellency is widely recognized as a global advocate for climate justice and sustainable development. He has stood firm at the United Nations, at COP summits, and across various multilateral fora, calling for urgent global climate financing, technology transfer, and support for adaptation, especially for developing nations. His call for a just transition and equity in the implementation of the broader Paris Agreement echoes the aspirations of the Global South. Distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, further, the leadership of His Excellency strongly aligns with the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and its 17 Sustainable Development Goals and Africa's Agenda 2063. He continues to advocate for intergenerational equity and climate-smart growth that leaves no one and no place behind. As Zimbabwe proudly hosts COVID-19 on wetlands, a COP on the African soil, at one of the world's most iconic natural wonders, there could be no more a befitting guest of honor to lead us in this moment of reflection, recommitment, and renewal than His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my singular honor and privilege to invite to the podium His Excellency Dr. Emmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa, President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, and a champion of environmental stewardship, to officially open COP15 on wetlands. Your Excellency.
Pray, be seated. Your Excellencies, heads of state and government here present, Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Eswatini, the Right Honorable Russell Dlamini, Vice President of the Republic of Botswana, Honorable Holate, Vice President of the Republic of Malawi, the Right Honorable Dr. Usi, Honorable Vice Presidents, Zimbabwe, Honorable Ministers and Deputy Ministers who are here, heads of delegations, Deputy Executive Director of the United Nations Environment Programme, Madam Elizabeth Maruma Murema, the Secretary General of the RAMSAR Convention on Wetlands, Dr. Musonda Mumba, Director General of the United Nations Education, Science and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, Madam Ozolei, Executive Secretary of the United Nations Convention on Biological Diversity, Madam Astrid Skomeka, Director General of the International Union for Conservation of Nature, Dr. Gretel Aguilar, outgoing President of COP, the Republic of the People's Republic of China, Mr. Jia Jun, representatives of indigenous peoples and local communities here present, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. It is my distinct privilege to address you today at this 15th meeting of the Conference of Contracting Parties on the Convention on Wetlands, COP15. This gathering here in Zimbabwe of our global leaders, experts, and the representatives of regional organizations to address issues related to the protection of wetlands is an honor to us as Zimbabweans. On behalf of the government and the people of the Republic of Zimbabwe, I am delighted to warmly welcome you all, particularly to this city of Victoria Falls, which is anonymously known as the Mosio Tunya, the smoke that thunders, a living testament to the power and the beauty of wetlands. Today, we thus gather as representatives of our nations and as stewards of a shared heritage and future. We are one united people and the citizens of our planet Earth, with a sacred duty to protect that which has been entrusted to us by the Almighty God for both the present and the future generations to come. It is in this spirit, therefore, that the theme of this conference, and I quote, protecting wetlands for our common future, end of quote, is actually timely in its emphasis on the role of wetlands in ecological health, biodiversity conservation, and climate resilience. Wetlands, which include swamps, marshes, fens, bogs, estuaries, mangroves, and peatlands, are crucial habitats for about 40% of the Earth's species. They provide livelihoods for more than 1 billion people. To neglect wetlands would be to abandon a critical portion of our existence. Our wetlands are essential ecosystems that also provide critical services such as water purification, flood control, and carbon storage, among others. All these benefits complement efforts towards achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, particularly in addressing poverty, Goal 1, and the hunger, Goal 2, water supply challenges, which is Goal 6, promoting sustainable human settlements, Goal 11, climate action, Goal 13, and partnerships, Goal 17. In spite of this, wetlands are among the most threatened habitats on Earth. They face challenges such as habitat loss and degradation due to urbanization and development, agricultural expansion, and climate change, leading to shifts in wetland distribution and altered hydrological cycles, among others. It is therefore encouraging to note that in the face of the large-scale global decline of the world's wetlands, the RAMSAR Convention has mobilized most of the world's nations to support the conservation and wise use of wetlands. Indeed, protecting and restoring these a sustainable future and ensuring the health and stability of our entire environment. Now is the time for us to change our mindsets and start implementing multifaceted and collaborative approaches towards protecting our wetlands. By integrating innovative restoration techniques, strengthening policy frameworks, and conducting robust research and monitoring, we can enhance the conservation and sustainable management of our wetlands. Implementing sustainable land use and development practices is vital for protecting wetlands from the impacts of human activities. This will balance development needs with the conservation of our natural resources. Furthermore, community involvement and education are critical factors of effective wetland conservation, as they can foster a sense of stewardship and promote sustainable practices within communities. Future efforts must prioritize building resilience to climate change and recognize the vital ecosystem services that wetlands provide. In so doing, ensuring their protection for the benefit of future generations. Ladies and gentlemen, Zimbabwe embarked on its journey in wetland conservation with a notable commitment to environmental stewardship by ratifying the RAMSAR Convention on May 3rd, 2013. Since then, we have designated 7 RAMSAR sites, highlighting our dedication to wetland conservation and preservation, which resonates with our commitment to provide all Zimbabweans with a clean, safe, and a healthy environment as enshrined in our national constitution. In addition to ongoing global wetland management efforts, this COP15 is expected to endorse the Victoria Falls Declaration. This declaration aims to foster a legacy of wetland conservation through advocating for resource mobilization, research and development, as well as increased political commitment and investment towards wetland management, among other various initiatives. At the center of this declaration is the acknowledgement of the critical ecological, social, and economic importance of wetlands and their global significance for sustainable livelihoods. The declaration also serves as a guide and reminder for us to conserve, restore, and sustainably manage our wetlands. Equally, we should remain seized with the enormous challenges facing wetland conservation, especially in the context of the triple planetary crisis of climate change, biodiversity loss, and pollution. My government commits to champion resource mobilization for sustainable wetland management, rehabilitation, and collaboration. This includes building strong linkages among partners, such as other multilateral environmental agencies, countries, institutions, the private sector, and other stakeholders. Through this approach, we must all commit to sustainable financing, fostering collaborative management, and synergized strategies to conservation. The climate change adaptation plans and the natural boundaries and action plans of our nations should offer ways to address the challenges of wetlands conservation, as these plans can provide access to various climate funding opportunities. Distinguished delegates, the scale of wetland loss and its associated threats demands immediate and cooperative action from all stakeholders across the board. Time has come to secure the guaranteed preservation of wetlands as a foundation for a sustainable, equitable, and resilient future for generations to come. While the formulation of policies and adoption of resolutions are essential, their effective implementation is even more critical, along with our readiness to invest in wetland protection as nations. Therefore, let this COP15 be recognized for taking concrete steps from discussion to implementation. As contracting partners to the Convention, let us act boldly and decisively to safeguard our wetlands and urgently address drivers of wetland loss. With unwavering political and a shared determination, we must protect, revive, and wisely use our wetlands for the benefit of both present and future generations to come. It is therefore my hope that the sharing of knowledge, exchange of ideas, and collaborations will culminate in the development of strategies to safeguard these vital ecosystems. I am convinced that the outcomes from this august gathering will take us far into the future of a balanced ecosystem. In conclusion, allow me to appreciate the sterling work done by the outgoing COP President, the government of the People's Republic of China, the guidance and support you provided to us in preparation for our presidency. Highly appreciated. We thank you. Your valuable insights and experiences helped us shape our own preparations for the work that lies ahead for the next 3 years. I also thank the Convention Secretariat for your tremendous support over the last 3 years. You played your pivotal role, and we remain indebted to you. With these remarks, it is now my honor and privilege to declare the 15th meeting of the Conference of the Contracting Parties to the Convention on Wetlands officially open. God bless you all, and thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for those words. It gives me pleasure now to invite the representatives of the heads of state that are here present to make short statements in response. We'll begin with the Honorable Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Eswatini, the Honorable R. Dlamini, who will give his statement.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa, who's also our host today, the Vice President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, the Vice President of the Republic of Malawi, the representative of the UN Secretary General, the RAMSAR COP15 resident President, Dr. Evelyn Ndlovu, honorable ministers here in present, members of the diplomatic corps, representatives from all the RAMSAR regions, Director General of International Union of Nature Conservation, the RAMSAR Convention Secretariat, international organizations, partners, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I am honored and pleased to join all of you here today on behalf of the head of state, His Majesty King Mswati III, at this official high-level segment of the RAMSAR Convention's 15th Conference of Parties, here in the world-renowned Victoria Falls, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site of exceptional features and of outstanding beauty. Excellencies, distinguished guests, let me first and foremost congratulate His Excellency President Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa for successfully hosting the recent Transfrontier Conservation Areas Summit, celebrating 25 years of implementation of SADC Transfrontier Conservation Areas in the region, focusing on the transboundary nature of our natural resources and people. A warm welcome is extended to this distinguished wetlands conservation gathering in Africa, which is in itself a demonstration of the true spirit of international cooperation, in line with the theme of the convention, protecting wetlands for our common future, further echoing that wetlands are indispensable in supporting human livelihoods. Excellencies, distinguished guests, the Kingdom of Eswatini is in support of all efforts promoting the conservation and wise use, and international cooperation on wetlands in the world. Such efforts of the Kingdom includes the approval of the National Wetlands Policy and the Wetlands Strategy and Action Plan to support meaningful national action, which is in line with the Convention strategic framework. It has been observed from Eswatini. Eswatini citizens and communities determined to reverse the degradation and destruction of our natural heritage of wetlands that continue to deliver priceless ecosystems, goods and services. As some of you might already know, one of our biggest cultural ceremonies in Eswatini, the reed dance, Umhlanga, is fully dependent on thriving reed, which grows on wetlands. I invite you all to the Reed Dance Festival, which takes place annually between the last week of August and the first week of September. Wetlands have assisted communities respond positively to climate change impacts, both on mitigation and adaptation. They have assisted in restoring degraded freshwater ecosystems. Wetlands remain a key source for our water supply and perennial rivers and dams, which we also use for agricultural purposes. Furthermore, Eswatini practically witnessed the benefit of protecting wetlands in one rural community where various bird and plant species that were almost extinct in the area were restored, as well as the recharging of wells and downstream dams. In Eswatini, these wetlands have also helped sustain livelihoods in handcrafts, weaving and art formation, which result in considerable income generation. Wetlands also contribute to sustainable production of certain foods and fruits. However, urbanization and development pose a serious threat to wetlands, where most of the wetlands have been converted to cities and towns and prime sites used for dwelling places. This has degraded our wetlands habitats, increasing the need to explore innovative construction measures and technology to preserve the remaining few. There is need, therefore, to ensure coexistence between human beings with waterbirds, amphibians, and the reptiles, which are almost extinct, a common phenomenon worldwide that has resulted to an imbalance in the ecosystem. On another note, Excellencies, distinguished guests, the region has demonstrated its commitment through active involvement in the newly established Southern Africa RAMSAR Regional Initiative, with the goal of promoting the wise use of wetlands in SADC towards ensuring stronger cooperation and synergies. It is at this point, Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, that I appeal for increased support of various forms to African states. The need for advanced climate-smart technologies cannot be overemphasized in advancing the cause on wetlands. It is imperative that cutting-edge technology is utilized in wetlands mapping for protection, for ecological design, and restoration purposes. This support will enhance and strengthen capacity and effectiveness in the conservation and sustainable management of this globally important natural heritage. It is therefore recommended that preservation and protection of wetlands be mainstreamed in coordination and implementation of the various multilateral environmental agreements at all levels, including in the climate change and Paris Agreement negotiations, as well as the Convention on Biodiversity, just to mention a few. This will ensure that appropriate data on wetlands and related indicators are readily available to inform national planning frameworks, the national determined contributions, and the national adaptation plans. As I conclude, let me mention that wetlands are a significant part of the global biodiversity framework, or the biodiversity plan targets, with about 11 out of the total of 23 targets itemized as areas where restoration efforts are needed in order to improve ecosystems' health, structure, and functioning. It is evident that the global community needs stronger partnerships, collaboration, resources, and focused strategic actions to achieve the UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration for 2021 to 2030. We all have an opportunity to join efforts to reverse the degradation of our planet's wetland, as nearly 90% of our wetlands have been degraded since the 700s. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you.
Siyabonga wokunene. At this time, we now ask the Honorable Vice President of the Republic of Malawi, Honorable Dr. Musi, to address us.
Your Excellency, Dr. Emmerson Mnangagwa, the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, the Vice President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Prime Minister of Eswatini, Honorable Ministers and Heads of Delegation, Madam Secretary General of the RAMSAR Convention, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor and a privilege for me to represent the government of Malawi and to make this statement on behalf of His Excellency the President, Dr. Lazarus McCarthy Chakwera, and the entire nation of Malawi at this official opening of the 15th meeting of the Conference of the Contracting Parties to the Convention of Wetlands, COP15. Your Excellencies, distinguished delegates, first and foremost, I would like to express our sincere gratitude to you, Mr. President, personally, and the nation of Zimbabwe for the exceptional hospitality in hosting this important global gathering and breathtaking setting of Victoria Falls. Tatenda siyabonga kakhulu. For over 50 years, the RAMSAR Convention has provided the essential global framework for the conservation and wise use of wetlands. With 172 contracting parties united under its banner, the Convention stands as a testament to our shared recognition that wetlands are not merely landscapes, but vital lifelines, cradles of biodiversity, guardians of freshwater, protection against floods and droughts, and indispensable allies in our fight against climate change. They are fundamental to human survival, well-being, and prosperity. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Malawi, a proud contracting party, deeply understands the value of wetlands. We are custodians of two wetlands of international importance, Lake Chiwa, designated in 1996, and the Elephant Marsh, designated in 2017. Together, these RAMSAR sites cover over 286,000 hectares, representing critical centers of biodiversity and resources of our communities. Beyond these designated sites, wetlands encompassing our lakes, rivers, and marshes constitutes approximately 22% of Malawi's surface area, forming the very backbone of our ecological and economic systems. Your Excellencies, distinguished delegates, Malawi's accession to the RAMSAR Convention has significantly enhanced the profile of wetland conservation, both globally and nationally. Through community engagement, we have established strategic partnerships that effectively manage these sites to ensure their sustainability and promote sustainable development. The increasing impact of climate change on communities calls for need to enhance climate resilience through securing funding for wetlands conservation, restoration, and exploring innovative, sustainable financing mechanisms such as carbon initiatives. Malawi has come to COP15 with renewed commitment, a clear national position, and a defined priority action aligned with the new strategic plan of the convention. Furthermore, Malawi has been approached by the United Nations to consider participating in the International Business Forum, one of the key accompanying events of COP15. We view this as an opportunity to amplify our voice, showcase investment potential in wetland conservation and ecotourism, and forge new partnerships with the private sector. The theme of this COP15, protecting wetlands for our common future. This is why COP15 is not just another meeting. It is a pivotal moment. At the highest decision-making board of the convention, we gather here in Victoria Falls not only to reaffirm our commitments, but to significantly strengthen them. We must translate the philosophy of wise use into accelerated, concrete action through ambitious national plans, robust policies, effective legislation, and empowered communities. Your Excellencies, distinguished delegates, let us seize the opportunity presented at COP15. Let us make decisive and bold choices. Let us strengthen our partnerships. Let us recommit ourselves with renewed vigor to the protection and wise use of the world's wasteland. For the health of our planet, the prosperity of our nations, and indeed for our common future. Finally, I would like to emphasize that the agenda of our national delegations' internal meetings will be amended prior to commencement to specifically discuss how Malawi can best participate in the International Business Forum. Thank you very much. God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Honorable Vice President. Twathokoza zwambili. Your Excellency, at this moment, it does give me pleasure to request the Secretary General of the Convention on Wetlands, Dr. Musonda Mumba, to come forward and close this session of the presidential point of the scope with a statement. Thank you, ma'am.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa, the Vice President of Zimbabwe, Honorable KCD Mahodi, the Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Eswatini, Your Excellency, Honorable R.M. Dlamini, the Vice President of the Republic of Malawi, Dr. M.B. Usi, the Secretary General Antonio Guterres of the United Nations, represented here by the Deputy Executive Director of United Nations Environment Programme, the Minister of Environment, Climate and Wildlife, my dear sister, Dr. E. Ndlovu,
all ministers here, heads of delegations, dignitaries, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, traditional leaders, development partners, and many here who have come to support this amazing and auspicious event. Your Excellency, it is with such profound honor that I stand here as a daughter of Africa, and from two sides of Africa and of two sides of Zimbabwe, Zambia, and South Africa, to congratulate you. Really, you have made history, contracting parties, and was opened by an ambassador. COP15, happening here in Victoria Falls, has 172 contracting parties. And I must add, you have made history. In the 45 years of all COPs, it is the first time that we have a head of state who has also invited other heads of state. This is the second time that the COP has happened here on the African soil, the first happening in Uganda in 2005. 20 years later, we're here in Victoria Falls. This COP is indeed a turning point, Your Excellency. At this point, as we launched last week the Global Wetland Outlook, you have heard from Her Excellency Minister Ndlovu the sobering and yet motivating report that was to really talk about why should we protect wetlands. And if there is a region that really understands the value of water and the value of wetland, it is here. Because in the last 43 years, we experienced the worst drought in the last few years. It was indeed a warning sign to our systems because we depend on wetlands for water, for food, the biodiversity, and even for our climate. And yet still, these systems have been undervalued, underfunded, and also underrepresented in national planning. So here in this room, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, you are the ones that will shape the priorities of your convention. You decide which policies will need to be implemented and which sectors will receive investment, and also include wetlands at the center of those. You will be the voice, and you have to remain the voice of wetlands. At the Convention of Wetlands, indeed, we offer the platform for collaboration, but also for science-based action. And so I give you 4 points that are important. And also part of the reason I invited several of my sisters from multilateral environmental agreements. We cannot act alone. It is relying on synergies across MEAs, investing in restoration, protection at scale, recognizing and supporting knowledge of indigenous peoples and also local communities. And lastly, empowering the next generation of young people to carry this work forward. We're not starting from scratch, Your Excellency. Across the world and even here in Africa, the change has been seen. Countries are working very hard, even across political and geographic divides. I'm also very excited to say that Victoria Falls is a wetland accredited city, and many are really accrediting their cities to have them as centers where they can discuss the issues of wetlands. I really want to humbly say I could not have done this alone without the pivotal support of the team at the Secretariat, working night and day with the Zimbabwe team to make this a success. Let us make this moment where political leadership meets practical action, recognized as the backbone of sustainability. I'm really ever so grateful to be here in this beautiful place, Tatenda. Saibonga kakhulu.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mumba Zikomo. At this moment, Your Excellency, we come to the end of this segment of the COP15 deliberations. It is a point when we ask you, and as the family has extends and the exhibits that have been staged here, Your Excellency, sorry. Okay. Yeah, come. I think just before you go out, the
heard there from the Copper SG, and of course His Excellency the President of the Second Republic, Dr. Emmerson Mnangagwa, has officially opened COP15 2025, running under the theme of protecting wetlands for our common future.
Yes, and part of the President's address as he officially opened this convention, the President said, as the human species, we have been entrusted with that sacred duty of taking care of our wetlands, so we should accord it with the seriousness that it deserves. He said it is especially worrying that about 40% of nature species have been destroyed due to us as human beings not being able to take care of wetlands. Over 1 billion people rely on wetlands, so is it such a difficult task for us to do what it is that we have been entrusted with to do? So in closing, the President said, you know what, this COP15 should be remembered, not only for discussions, but for implementations. The implementation, that is what we are waiting for in as far as this convention is concerned.
And of course, these conversations will continue as people who are gathered here from different countries continue to discuss ways and means of how to conserve these wetlands. And by the way, wetlands in Isindebele is amaxhaphozi.
Amaxhaphozi.
Say it with me.
Okay.
Amaxhaphozi.
Amaxhaphozi.
Yes.
Matoro in
yes.
Shona. Perfect. So we gathered here for the conservation of Matoro and Amaxhaphozi in Isindebele. Until we meet again, hopefully next time. Thank you for your time.
Have a good
Zimbabwe.